The underwear Olympics are over. We'll break it all down and tell you what the stories inside Indianapolis were. And what about free agents? Who's going where? We'll explore some of the big ones. It's the Manchild Show with Boy Green Digital, and we're live right now.
Let's go! It's time for the talk to you. Cause when comes for, it's always coming through. And Boy Green is always on the scene. And we're gonna always bring to live streaming. So get ready. Get ready, cause here they come.
All right. I'm moved by our music here on a Monday morning. I don't know. I always feel like I got a little more pep in my step on a Monday morning. Good morning, everybody. Welcome. Manchild Show with Boy Green Digital at MC Show Digital. You see all our handles, social media down there, and that's our YouTube handle as well. That's where we really want you to sign up and join. I mean, you can sign up for all of our social media portals, but YouTube is our home base, man. That's where you can see our entire archive of stuff. You can see everything that we've been up to. Not only do we do a couple of live shows a week, but we do plenty of pre-recorded stuff, and some of the stuff has been exceptionally good lately. Not to toot our own horn, but we've had some really terrific interviews, and we will keep that coming as we roll into NFL draft season now that we are through the NFL Combine. By the way, you see the scrolling ticker below as well. You can now support our channel through membership, and our membership levels start at just $4.99. We have 3 levels, including Hall of Fame level, if you want to go right to the top and get involved in a fantasy football league this coming fall with me and Boy Green. We already have one person who has joined us in that league. Can we get 9 more and have a league of 12? That is our goal. We will have a WWE Championship belt-style trophy at stake for the winner. But we can get into that another time. All right, welcome aboard. Good morning, Boy Green. How are you?
I'm doing amazing. I got to watch over 20 hours of NFL Combine coverage over the last 4 days. I missed a little bit on Thursday because I do Boy Green Meets Woody, which is at 3 o'clock. So that's when the Combine started. So unfortunately, I had to miss a little bit there. But as soon as it was over, I could immediately sprint over and get the Combine coverage in. And boy, there was just a lot of good stuff.
I love that you love the Combine, thank God, because I don't. I mean, I like to hear some of the things that come out of it, and I want to talk to you about guys like Sonny Styles, who obviously wowed people with his performance and probably is going to jump up the draft board now into the top 10, if not further, by his terrific performance. We got to see how quick some of the receivers are that did run the 40-yard dash and do some things. And obviously, we got to look at the quarterbacks, and it does seem like Ty Simpson kind of has now jumped to being a clear number 2. I think he already was, but it feels like he really kind of secured that position in the draft. Now the question is, how desperate are teams out there that need a quarterback, and how high will they go to take this guy? Beckons me or harkens me back to when Daniel Jones was floating out there, and the Giants were picking at 8, and I was like, oh, no, wait, because the Giants, like the Jets, had those 2 picks in the first round, and they had one. I forget what their other one was, but it was somewhere in that neighborhood of
17 and 6, I believe.
There you go. 17 and 7 was okay. I thought it was 8 and 17, but maybe it's 7.
Yeah, I think it's 17 and 6, but I'll double check.
Oh my gosh, we took Daniel Jones at 6. That is a crime. All right. Anyway, regardless, I was screaming no, and the Giants did take Daniel Jones with that earlier pick. I thought they could have invested that in someone else and still gotten Jones later. Obviously, that would have been a risk. And if you think you have a quarterback that's going to suit the bill, then you take it. But
by the way, booyah! Way to go, right? Pat Paul, the back old 6 and 17. Do you remember who 17 was?
The draft guru. Like I have vague recollections of drafts. You have much more precise recollections of drafts, and same thing goes for the Combine, which is why you're going to answer most of the questions today, and I'm going to ask most of them because.
But Lord, do you remember
times and taking a look at a few interesting players along the way? The Combine was not heavily on my radar during this past week, at least in terms of watching it ad nauseum, getting pizza and wings and sitting down like I'm watching the World Series or the Super Bowl or something. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so the Giants had 2 picks in the first round of the 2019 NFL Draft, 6 and 17. Of course, that Daniel Jones was 6. Do you remember who the Giants took with the 17th overall pick in that draft?
Actually, I was just, as I was saying that to you, I was trying to recall in my mind's eye who the heck they took. As soon as you tell me the guy, I'll remember, but I cannot remember off the top of my head. I cannot.
It is Dexter Lawrence, sexy Dexy. And
Yep.
by the way, did that work out?
Yeah, I think
He,
so.
heading
I think so.
into last season, was the #1 ranked defensive tackle football. Now, he didn't certainly play like it potentially last season, which could be a different conversation. But, big salute. He got a big fat contract. So, yeah, I forgot that he was 17. I knew that those were the numbers. So, there you go. Nice.
And he's a critical player for John Harbaugh to get on track this coming season because he really took a nosedive last season. There is no sugarcoating it. He just did not look like the same player. I haven't been able to track anything that indicated that in any way he was playing somewhat injured, because sometimes players are playing somewhat hurt. It affects them a lot more than you think, and it's not really reported as, quote, an injury, and meanwhile it has truly slowed a player down. I don't know what was up with Dexter last year, because going into last year, he could make the argument, and I think a strong one, that he might have been the #1 defensive tackle, #1 inside guy in all of football. So to have that label, and then to kind of put up not much in the sack department, not really even a ton of tackles kind of year for the Giants, albeit in a year where it really didn't matter ultimately because their record wasn't very good, is something that has to be corrected, especially if the Giants are inevitably going to pay him going forward. I know he's under contract for this year, but that contract will come up in a couple of years, and they'll have to deal with that. And if they're going to pay him like a top player, he needs to play like a top player. Other bye Dexter, Off goes another factor. All right. Yeah. Anyway, but I do want to talk about the combine. So we'll lead the show with that today, and then we will bust into some free agency talk and some players floating out there that we can have some fun with, talking about who's a good fit and yada, yada, yada. So we'll try to circle around that as well. Your comments, of course, are welcome in the comment section, so get in there early and often. I see a whole bunch of people already jumping in here. I'll throw up a couple early ones here.
Please.
Started. Greg Rallo says, let's get a QB in the draft. Okay, there he goes.
Sure.
We got a hello all from Mad Mertz. Hey, what's up, man?
Okay.
What's going
Member
on?
To the 12th Manchild. Appreciate that.
Yes, appreciate that very much. We've got Mark here, says, good morning. I had my coffee, walked the dog, threw out some garbage. Time for some sports chatter. I like it. And if you were up extra early, Mark, as I was this morning, Boy Green, it's like afternoon for him. I should have said good afternoon at the beginning.
Yeah, it's true.
Boy Green starts on Mondays at 7 now. Okay, he's normally a 7:30 guy, which is early enough for me. But 7 o'clock on Mondays right now, because he's got a guy that's been doing draft stuff with him every single Monday, and so he's an early start. So I mean, he's already in show number 2 as you're having your coffee and walking your dog. Can't blame you, by the way. I'm with you, Mark. But nonetheless, I was up quite early this morning as well, and I was chiming in the comments. During
I saw that. Very nice.
Getting after some people. A little bit on some things, chiming in about Jeremiah Love and how good he looks.
Yeah. We'll get to those giant rumors.
Falling in love with Love. I don't know, man. As long as somebody doesn't let the Chiefs get him at 9, that's my number 1 thing. Is that will make me sick to my stomach if they wait till 9 and they get him. But it does seem like
start there.
Performance at the combine is not going to allow that.
Yeah, 100%. Jeremiah Love ran a 4.340. One of my biggest takeaways, we're going to get into all fun storylines that have to do with football and not to do with football here from the combine, which are a lot of fun. But my overwhelming takeaway is Jeremiah Love is going top 5, top 6. Like I feel less confident the further I go out, because I just think he's going to be at the top. And Daniel Jeremiah believes that conversation starts at 3rd overall with the Arizona Cardinals. So I mean. So that's a good news. If you are just like a Chiefs hater and you're like, I just don't want them, just they randomly happen to be in the top 10 this year because of the Patrick Mahomes injury, you just don't want them getting love and adding them on top of the pile, you should feel confident. At least at this point, things, of course, always change. We're here in March. The draft's next month, but I don't think Jeremiah Love is going to be on the board at 9. So I think he's going somewhere else.
Well, I hope you're right. I do think one thing about it, though, not that some silly team couldn't take him that didn't meet these requirements. But in all honesty, I think teams that should be thinking about running back, even anywhere in the top 10, needs to be a team that has most of the other pieces already versus, say, Arizona or New York, the Giants I'm talking about, that are still so far away. They just have so many needs in all these other places. Like I love Jeremiah Love, and if you watched him in the combine, and I did get a glimpse of him in the combine, he was one of the guys I did tune in to see.
Spectacular.
The guy's a beast. He looks like a beast. He's fast as lightning. He's he looks like somebody that can really, really be an explosive player at the NFL level. And those guys are always exciting, whether it's a receiver or whether it's a running back. Explosive guys like that on the offensive end are like little toys. They're little fun trinkets, little glitter.
How many teams in the top 10 have a lot put together? Are they in the top 10 for a reason?
You're exactly right. That's always a problem, is that typically the worst teams are up there, which is why the Kansas City Chiefs stick out so much at number 9, because they do have, even though they had a down season, and of course their quarterback got hurt to really kind of, make it tumble, but it was already tumbling before
it
completely tumbled off the table to them being in the top 10 because of the Mahomes injury. So, but they could do a very quick bounce back if they choose wisely in the draft and make some moves in free agency, and they're already restructured Mahomes and are restructuring several other guys. I think Chris Jones, they've been talking to him now about a restructure just so they can create some money, because they were in terrible shape. They were way over the cap. So they got to bring themselves into the negative so that they can even attempt to go out and get some free agents. But they'll have an advantage in free agency in a lot of ways, because guys that are looking to win right now, I don't know, I'll take a guy like, not that he's a great fit or whatever, but Mike Evans. Okay. So, I mean, Mike Evans, who's on the back end. Okay.
And he's set to be a free agent on March 11th.
All right. Yep. Mike Evans, he sees all the teams out there in the landscape, and the Chiefs are one of them. Why doesn't he say, hey, that's not a bad place to be? I'm with one of the best quarterbacks in the game, and I'm with a team that structures itself around offense. And, this is a way for me to go out with a ring on my finger. I know that's one of the things that Mike Evans is, dare I say, on his bucket list.
Well, he does have a ring. He won it with Tampa
Bay. Right. You're right. He does have one ring. Okay, correction there. But he wants to win another one. So, you look at guys like that, and a team like Kansas City is going to be attractive versus going to a team that is, quote, in a rebuild, if you want to call it, or at least a restructure. Every team, with free agency now can rebuild their roster very, very quickly. I offer you the New England Patriots, who were in the Super Bowl this year and were a disaster last year. What did they do? Change their coach, spent more money than anyone else in free agency, and chose wisely in the draft. Put those three things together, bingo, all of a sudden you got yourself a championship contender. So things are changing in the NFL. Free agency, more active trades than we've ever seen before, and just, good, solid drafting. You can turn a team around quicker today than you have been able to going back 10 years, 20 years, 30 years ago. That's my opinion, but I believe it to be true because there are just more portals, more chances to make changes, to do things, to tweak. I look at the Giants getting ready for the draft, or we can look at the Jets if you want, not to be so Giant-centric today.
Sure.
All right. And just say, all right, if we get this guy in free agency, that covers our base. Let's say the Jets go out and get another wide receiver. Let's say it's what's his name from the Vikings, Pierce. All right. Colts, I'm sorry. Alec Pierce.
Alec Pierce. Right? Yeah.
Okay. So let's say the Jets go, hey, we're all in on Alec Pierce. We're gonna go get that guy. He comes loose, and they're gonna go sign him, and they spend a bunch of money. All right.
Sure.
All right, Now we got our receiver situation together. Now the Jets go into the draft, assuming they make that move, and they're not looking at receivers now. Or if they're looking at a receiver, they're looking for a third or a fourth guy, and maybe they'll draft one later in the draft. Take a flyer on somebody that they really like that maybe no one else saw. Maybe their advanced scouting has said, hey, we got a guy over here that we can stash him and go get him in the 5th, 6th round that he could be a player. But other than that, the Jets' mind is now off of receiver, and now they can go, fortify this over here, get the corners in order, let's up their game on the pass rush, whatever it is that the Jets need. So we know we have so many, right?
Yeah, that's true.
So this world of I can go tweak over here in order to get myself more in line over there is becoming more and more evident in today's NFL. So I do think that rosters can be turned over a lot more readily than they could have in the past.
Which I think is the exciting thing of the offseason is that we've seen teams go from worst to first. The Patriots are the example. They literally went from last in the division to first place in the division, and were able to turn around very quickly, which I think is a scintillating thing about this sport compared to other sports, not to try to dunk on basketball or any of these other things, is that fans have genuine hope. The draft, 0-0. Oh my gosh, this can change our fortunes. It literally can change your fortunes immediately. And all of a sudden you could go from hero to zero, zero to hero, and it can change very quickly. So I think that's the exciting thing about the offseason. And I imagine why we have hundreds of people watching the show live right now.
All right. Combine boy. Let's talk combine. All right. You are combine boy, so you will be our insider here for all things combine. You absorb more hours of it than any human could tolerate, even those that even went to the combine, for crying out loud. So let's talk about the guys that popped. Okay.
Yeah.
Who's at the top of your list? Who were some guys you were like, whoa, okay, we better start looking at this guy now. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, this player I'm about to point out, we're going to point out on the field stuff and then some fun off the field stuff that
I know where you're going on this.
That really tantalized a lot of people. So I got to go Sonny Styles. Oh my goodness, he is a off-ball linebacker that played mostly the Mike linebacker position last year for Ohio State. And here, the Ohio State. He ran a 4.46 40-yard dash. That's the fastest mark of any off-ball linebacker this year. He had a 43.5-inch vertical jump. That is first all-time ever among linebackers in history. That shows explosiveness. He had an 11.2 broad jump. That's fourth best all-time among any off-ball linebacker in the history of the NFL Combine. And he's 6'5", 244 pounds. And then just here's some of these numbers I'm about to give you on him. He is the same height as Calvin Johnson, Megatron. He is 3 pounds lighter than Derrick Henry. He has the same vertical as Nate Robinson had in the NBA. He has the 40-yard dash is the same as Bijan Robinson. Think about that. Bijan Robinson, crazy running back. He has the same speed as him.
Wow.
And his broad jump was the same as Julio Jones. So again, you just hear some of these things. You're like, oh, good Lord. Here are more. He's taller than Mike Evans, faster than George Pickens, quicker than Patrick Peterson, jumps higher than Devontae Adams, more explosive than Derwin James Jr., and he's heavier than Trent Cole. Again, you just hear these things, and this is from the NFL Network research data that comes out after the numbers are official on people. So Sonny Styles, again, there will be people that look at all of this together and say to themselves, when they're doing this, that he's an off-ball linebacker and you're not supposed to take those guys high. I don't know. I think he could go as high as the second overall pick to the New York Jets, and I think he is firmly in the top 10. And where does he go in the top 10? But before we go any further on my combine stuff, Lurch, we have to do breaking news here on the show. I'm seeing it in the comment section. We've got a very engaged comment section. So, Lurch?
Ladies and gentlemen, can I please have your attention? I've just been handed an urgent and horrifying news story. And I need all of you to stop what you're doing and listen.
All right. Hopefully not horrifying, but we like the breaking news.
Yeah, well, that's true. Yeah, I love Anchorman. Breaking news from the NFL. The Detroit Lions have traded David Montgomery to the Houston Texans for a fifth-round pick. There was rumors that Montgomery wanted out. Montgomery aggressively pushed back on that on social media, and days later he's traded. So take that for whatever you will. There were some comments made by the Lions as a team that, hey, we want to give more of the rock to Jahmyr Gibbs. If you watched the numbers or you played fantasy football last year, you saw that. I think Montgomery was frustrated. Maybe is too aggressive of a word, but, you know, he wants to be involved, and he was not being involved. And, man, I think that's an interesting choice by the Lions. I like the 1-2 punch, you know, Sonic and Knuckles and all that. And now David Montgomery gets what he wants. He will be the man in Houston. Joe Mixon had a very odd, fluky injury and poor fantasy football players that drafted him, and then he never played this year. I was one of them. And so now they've got a man, David Montgomery, who used to be the guy in Chicago. Then he went to Detroit where he was 1B, and now he's back to being the man. So breaking news trade. Thank you, everybody in the comment section, for always being on top of it here. And feel free, by the way, to any and always do that. I appreciate everyone saying that out in the audience. I think this is a huge move for Houston. I think David Montgomery is really good. I think he's underrated. I don't think he gets enough love, and I'm glad that he's going to be his own man there in Houston. And if C.J. Stroud plays like he did when he was younger in his career and earlier in his career, that passing game with David Montgomery's physical running style, I think that's a good combo down there in Houston.
Tell you what always shocks me with these trades at this time of year is just, I mean, to me, like, wow, that's, I hate to say it, but that's all you got from Montgomery is a fifth rounder? Like,
yeah.
A fifth rounder in a lot of ways. I mean, there have been a lot of productive players that have come out of the fifth round, but
Richard Sherman,
is a swing. Yeah. I mean, it's a swing, and a lot of times it's a swing of the miss. And then you struck him out. More often than not, probably. I don't know. I mean, is it 50-50? Is it 40-60? Like we could do a whole study on that. We ought to talk to one of our, geeky draft guys and say,
Sure,
all right,
right.
we need a study done here. 5th round picks who have made it in the NFL. And when I say made it, like become starters, impact players. Okay. Not some great guy who was good on the special teams. All right. Somebody was, because David Montgomery is plugging right into the Houston offense. And as you mentioned, he's going to be number 1 running back there. He's going to be RB1. So, am I getting back RB1 value in a 5th round pick? I would say no, but this is the conundrum sometimes that teams find themselves in number 1, trying to figure out the cap space situation and freeing up some money for themselves, or getting out of a situation that the Lions currently find themselves in, where they have a young guy who really has taken over as number 1. And while it was wonderful having that 1-2 punch, 1 and 1A or 1A and 1B, the fact of the matter is that you can't afford that for too long. So it becomes unaffordable. Montgomery starts wanting his due, or he wants to be starting. He becomes an unhappy player, and you have to jettison him off. But for a 5th round pick, yikes. God, I would think that David, forget about anything and everything else that is done out there. To me, I don't want to let David Montgomery go for anything, say, less than a 3rd rounder, because I feel like I got better than just a swing and a miss in a 3rd round. 5th round is just a little risky for me, but I understand the circumstances, and this stuff happens in the NFL all the time. So I think quite the bargain, frankly, for Houston, who's going to have a starting running back now. It's good news for them.
Yeah, by the way, you brought up 5th round picks. Here are some 5th round picks that have worked out pretty well.
Yeah,
Iron Mike. Yeah, sure. Iron Mike Webster, Zach Thomas, Tyreek Hill, George Kittle, Stephon Diggs, Robert Mathis, Rodney Harrison. I mentioned Richard Sherman earlier. What about this deep cut bull? Herschel Walker was a 5th round pick back in 1985, which is pretty crazy to think about, who's one of the greatest athletes of all time. So salute to Herschel Walker. So, yeah, we've had some good 5th round picks.
With Herschel, now, I just want to, my, again, foggy memory, but nonetheless memory existing. Yeah. That Herschel pick might have been because it was clear that Herschel was going to go play for Donald Trump's league then. or Donald
he did. He played for the New Jersey Generals. That's correct.
Generals. Yeah, and so they might, so he was signing with the USFL.
You could put an asterisk there if you want on that
said,
one.
Hey, we'll take a 5th round flyer on him in case he doesn't like it over there, so that we have his rights. So that one's a little misleading, but the others are legit. And look, Paul, you could make an all-star team. I'm sure of it. An all-star team of 5th round picks. But my point isn't, hey, you can hit in the 5th round. My point is, how often do you hit in the 5th round? And I think the odds are on my side. I haven't studied it. I mean, this is just touchy-feely. But I don't think I have to study it to have a good sense that 5th round, swing, and we'll see how it goes.
Let me make that clear. Right, the numbers will be on your side. Again, we should bring on a draft analyst to give us, and you'd have to give the requirements of what you perceive to be like a rock solid guy, and not just a special teamer and starts or how long they lasted or things of that nature. No, I'm sure the data would back up your point that like it is a swing and miss, and there are hits. Of course, I just went through a bunch of names, and these aren't all names from the 80s. George Kittle, Stephon Diggs, these are guys that are all superstars right now in the league that have hit. But to your point, I will tell you, Adam Schefter reported over the weekend when these reports came out that the Lions were hoping for an early day 3 pick. And for those, you'll learn more as we go through this process. For those who are uninitiated, that means a 4th or 5th rounder is on the high end of that, which apparently is what they got. But I agree with you. I think it's a steal. I think totally underrated is David Montgomery. So, yeah, I think he's a beast. So, anywho, by the way, guys, if you continue to see breaking news, please throw it in the chat. We will react to it immediately. That's a cool part of the show is we're able to do that. So, anywho, Sonny Styles is really cool. But the thing I want to do off the field is this beautiful woman to the left, and Stacey Dales to the right, by the way, former WNBA star. That is Laverna Styles. That is the mother of Sonny Styles. And some of you may not know this, but Sonny Styles, his brother, was also at the Combine as well. So he got to work, and his brother's name is Lorenzo Styles, and he blew up the Combine too, for that matter. So he's terrific. But a funny moment that happened at the Combine is Rich Eisen is a big Michigan guy. He and Daniel Jeremiah were like, the play-by-play and the color analyst at the Combine festivities. And Rich asked a question to Stacey Dales that she then told to Laverna. And he said, there's no more Styles kids coming, right? because they've haunted me. Lorenzo and Sonny have haunted my Michigan Wolverines, and she said, "No, there's no more Sonny Styles children, but you're on notice for the grandchildren that are coming." And it turned into this hilarious moment on stage. And Laverna was very engaging, and she was wonderful. So, by the way, shout out to Stacey Dale. She did a terrific job given some of the human element stories that were a part of the combine. So she did a terrific job. So shout out Laverna Styles, who Mama Styles was there for both days wearing the jerseys for it. And I know, Lurch, this is also another area that you love. You're a big fan of the hair. So let's introduce.
I used to
look
have
at this,
hair.
buddy. Look at this. Jennings Dunker, an offensive tackle for the Iowa Hawkeyes. And they did an entire mullet montage on the NFL Combine of the greatest mullets. So look at this lettuce, Lurch. Wow.
That is serious lettuce right there. Yeah.
And they use the slow-mo cameras on the 40-yard dash to have it, whipping all over the place.
And flopping,
yeah, very nice. So again, Jennings Dunker. The offensive linemen are on Sunday. They're the last day of the Combine. And that's the shortest because obviously there's less, and it's less coverage, and it goes through pretty quickly. They started their coverage at 1 and wrapped up before 5 o'clock. So the offensive linemen were quick, but a big salute here to Jennings Dunker, who is a offensive tackle for Iowa. And there's one last one I randomly want to throw up here, Lurch. This is Carson Beck, the Miami quarterback. And a lot of people know who he is, and he's, we're trying to see. It looks like, to your point, I think Ty Simpson performed very well. He should be QB2. Although at the end of the broadcast, Daniel Jeremiah said if a gun was to his head, who's going to be the second quarterback taken and who's going to be that guy? He brought up Carson Beck, as a matter of fact. So I went, interesting. So maybe he'll make some surprises. But the reason I bring him up is not the on-the-field stuff, which, by the way, was fun. They're in Indianapolis, Lurch, for the Combine, as they are every year. When Carson Beck went up to do his drills, and when the cameras are on him, they show it on the big screen in the building. He was booed vociferously because of the Indiana-Miami National Championship game. So every time, so it's normally no reaction, right? People are throwing, there's nothing. And if something really cool happens, a super fast 40-yard dash, you'll get, some light clapping. But every time he came out, boo! And then they got the camera on Carson. He's laughing, and it's a whole thing every time. And quarterbacks cycle out of drills. Carson's up there. Boo! The crowd stops. He comes back out. Boo! Oh, that was one of my favorite parts of the Combine. So I'm glad he took it. And by the way, all the social media people that are chastising the fans for booing, come on. Can't we have some fun?
Yeah,
come on. I didn't care. Carson Beck didn't seem to care. He thought it was a good time. So I don't know why everyone wants to get offended by everything now in 2026. I thought that was a lot of fun. So salute to that. There's just catching up on Combine.
Here's Mullet on Mullet, Ricky New York Live, who has his own mullet, saying Tippmann is our mullet guy. We have that covered.
Yes, that is Joe Tippmann, our starting right guard. Yeah, he has a nickname for his mullet. I don't know how many people have that. It's called the Wisconsin Waterfall. Coming out of Wisconsin, he had the mullet. So the mullet was cool. And by the way, he was honored on the NFL Network. They did a montage, and one of the last ones they showed was Joe Tippmann's flowing locks.
Yeah,
big shout
he's got him. He's got him too. Yeah, so you don't need more than one mullet on the team.
That's probably true. The over/under.
You've reached your limit there.
Yeah, there you go.
All right, so Sonny Styles. Let's start with him. You mentioned amazing. Is it amazing enough to get him all the way to 2 for you guys?
Possible.
I could see him being tasty potentially for the Giants at 5.
He should be
looking for somebody, in that defense. A piece in that defense other than an edge. The Giants, I do not think, are going to take an edge.
I don't think so.
Right. But anything else is fair game, I think, in that defense. And it feels like the Giants are leaning defense. But, there have been a lot of rumors about Jeremiah Love and whether the Giants would jump the shark there and jump on that thing at number 5. But those rumors aside, it feels like the need for the Giants is defense. And the fact that they could have a choice of a bunch of guys, Styles could now be in the mix. Because I think one of the things about the Combine, for me, and the reason why I can't watch it with the same intensity as you is I kid around, but I do halfway mean it. It is the Underwear Olympics, okay? Yeah. There is a reason it is nicknamed that. These guys are not in pads. They're not really playing the game of football. They're doing football-like things. They're running and they're jumping and they're running around things and they're showing their agility, but they're in their underwear, okay, wearing the best track shoes out there, having trained for it for weeks on end with personal trainers and people to get them at the optimum perfect place if they've done it right to be as good as they can possibly be within that couple of day span that they have to perform. All right. And that isn't what real football is. You know, I mean, it's not, you know, out there tackling and blocking and dealing with other players in front of you and getting pushed around and then dealing with injuries and getting bumped and bruised and still being out there playing. There's just a lot. So, but the one thing I would put stock in is when you see somebody like Styles pop, and he popped in this, there's no question. Those numbers are undeniable. That to me tells me something about his work ethic. Because now this is a guy that's motivated. He wants to play in the NFL, and he's worked hard to get himself to this place for this particular week to show NFL teams what he can do physically. All right. And by the way, he's been a pretty darn good player on the field, too. This guy's clearly a first-round talent, upper first-round talent. But now he may have jettisoned himself into the top 10 or, God forbid, maybe even the top 5 because of this amazing performance. And I think there are coaches and GMs out there that are going to take notice of that, not just strictly because of the numbers, but more so what it takes to deliver those numbers at something like the combine. It shows like I'm going to be ready for the season. I'm going to train hard. I'm going to be a pro's pro. And I think that that's the statement, as much as the numbers make a statement, that Sonny Styles made in this combine. At least to me, that's what I value.
No, I agree. I just want to throw this point up because CBW brought it up. Manchild nailed it. There are some teams that don't even go to the combine. There are Rams and Jaguars, and Jaguars are not a surprise. Jeff Gladstone, or James Gladstone, who is the general manager, came from the Rams. So it makes sense they have sort of the same philosophy. I will just say this. This is my philosophy. I'm not an NFL team, but to me, I think touch points are important. That's just sort of what I call them. Like if I'm a team, I'm the Jets, and let's say I want a quarterback at number 2 overall. I want to see him at the Senior Bowl. I want to see him at the Combine. I want to see him on a top 30 visit. I want to see him here. I want to get as much information as possible. Any of you out in the audience hopefully watched the cinematic masterpiece known as Draft Day. You have a security guy in your building that is vetting this guy like an FBI detective to see, is there anything to uncover here that we need to know before making this franchise altering decision. So I know some people don't think the combine's important, and blessed be he to those. To me, if I was ever got a head coach job, GM job, scout job, or anything, I would value all of those personal interactions. And it's not even to me the on-field stuff like Sonny Styles you bring up or Jeremiah Love. Like I would want to be down there to see, oh wow, how is Jeremiah Love around the staffers at the combine? Is he treating them with respect? Is he doing those kind of things? How is he just talking to people when the cameras aren't on him? What's he doing? What's his interaction? So I want as many touch points as possible when I'm evaluating prospects and things of that nature. So again, there are teams that don't go, but if I was ever in that position, I would go every year to gain as much information as possible.
Jamie, the FedEx guy, or I should say Hall of Fame member, Jamie, the FedEx guy chiming in. Giants Chiefs trade. Chiefs get Love. You get number 9 and next year's number 1 from the Chiefs. And you take a receiver or an O-lineman, talking about the Giants and the Chiefs wheeling and dealing. With Love's terrific performance, if the Chiefs really did want him, and, you wait, obviously, you don't trade now for number 5. You wait to see how the draft plays out, but you talk to the Giants in advance and say, hey, listen, if a certain person is available at number 5, we'd like to make a trade, and here's our offer. So you make a contingency offer, and then pick 4 is made, and you go, okay, let's make that trade. And then Big O, you jump in. Would I do this? Would you do this? I would do this, Boy Green. I would move down to 9. I think the Giants can get a high-quality player there. Having an extra number 1 next year would be terrific, even if the Chiefs are a really good team and that pick is in the late 20s or early 30s. I'm okay with that because you got 2 first-rounders. You can always maneuver with 2 first-rounders to get something that you want. And I do think we could get a quality player. I don't think the Giants are going to go O-line first round in this draft. I just don't have a feeling that's going to happen. But
I guess it depends on Jermaine or Luminor, of course. What happens at right tackle?
Yeah, of course. And it depends on what the Giants decide or not decide to do in free agency. Are they going to go chase Linderbaum, or are they going to chase any of these, more high profile? There are a few linemen out there. Kansas City just let one of their linemen loose now. That's going to be
Jawan Taylor. That'll be official in a couple of days, but yes, that was
he's not going to cost you a ton, but he is a very serviceable guy. He had a lot of penalties, though. I didn't like hearing that.
Yeah. Taylor's a big penalty guy.
But sure, I'd do that, Jamie. Would you do that if you were the Giants, BG?
If I'm the Giants, hell yeah, I'd do that.
I don't know if that's going to be offered, but if Kansas City really felt like somebody's going to scoop up Love and we really want him, he is the piece we are missing to turn this thing into a monster again and unleash you know what, or unleash hell on the NFL next year, maybe they would make that trade. 5's a pretty sweet spot probably to get that guy.
Probably, yeah. Again, if I'm the Giants, I'd take this deal all day long. If I'm the Chiefs, I'm not sure if I offer it. Although the thing is, if you're the Chiefs, you're in a unique position. Now, Patrick Mahomes recovering, and who am I to doubt Patrick Mahomes? But I'd be very surprised if he was starting week 1, but who knows what can happen. But just the fact that you have Patrick Mahomes allows you to give up future first-round picks are supposed to be so you can try to find your quarterback. 99% of the starting, I made up that number, but basically 99% of the starting quarterbacks are first-round picks. Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, go through all the names. Joe Burrow, Jared Goff, this guy. It's very rare that you have quarterbacks that are not first-round picks that are starters. Oh, is that the Chiefs calling, Larch?
No, I don't know who's calling. I don't know why that's coming through my computer. I can't stop this.
No. I thought that was. I just wanted to make sure that wasn't the Chiefs.
Yeah, sorry, that came over the air. I was like, what?
No. That's all right. Yeah, again, hey, trade calls are important. Make sure you pick up that call, Lurch.
Should be like Adam Schefter. Like, hold on.
Yeah, right. When you see that and he takes out the earpiece, you're like, whoa, breaking news about that. Here on the show. I remember following that with Adam Schefter. But no, so long story short, if you're the Chiefs, you can afford to make these risks of doing it if they were. But I think they're going to probably stand pat. They have needs, even though they have Patrick Mahomes and you don't think they have needs. So I would do this if I'm the Giants for sure, but I'm not sure if I do it if I'm the Chiefs. I do want to highlight Ricky New York threw up a player. Let me see if I can find it quickly here. Oh, yeah. Dylan Thieneman, the safety out of Oregon, he ran a 4.35 40-yard dash. He was spectacular. 1.52 on the 10-yard split, 41-inch vertical jump, 10.5 broad jump, 18 reps of 225 pounds on the bench press. The Jets need a safety badly. Some Jet fans dreamed of getting him in the second round. I think those dreams are dead after the combine. The place to watch for him would be 16th overall if the Jets' second of 2 first-round picks, Ricky. And I would love it. I think Dylan is awesome. The Jets have a massive hole at safety. I think he'd be a terrific player. So, yeah, Dylan Thieneman had an excellent combine. That would be marvelous.
And, again, very interesting that Caleb Downs did not compete,
He did not.
physically in the combine. Because, again, like, does that make you wonder sometimes? Like, okay, there's plenty of great film on him, and a lot of people really, really like him. So much sort of he's being discussed potentially as a top 5, a top 7 kind of pick. Yeah. But does that give you pause that the guy doesn't compete? Like, I get it with Fernando. It's just pretty obvious what's going to happen there.
Right.
So what's to throw in the combine, and who else am I impressing? I already have locked down the number 1 pick, or someone's going to trade for me. I don't think they're going to trade the pick, but he's going number 1. Yeah. So, there's no point of it. But a guy like Caleb Downs, like, does that, and then Styles pops, again, just to take the Giants perspective here for a moment, maybe going into the combine, they're feeling pretty strong about Downs, and they have a guy here that could, kind of, be the backbone and the back line of their defense, could use a guy like that for sure. He seems like a pretty versatile guy. And then Styles has this kind of combine, and you're like, well, wait a minute, we could move up just one level of the defense and have this guy wandering the middle, cracking people. And boy, look at what his numbers are. And what are the numbers on the other guy? Oh, there are no numbers. He didn't show up. He just did some interviews and then made his way out of there. I guess he probably did the physical too, right? Most of the guys that come do.
Yeah, they do all the medical stuff when they're there at the combine.
So, again, like, that always causes me like, why aren't you competing? Why are you competing? So, yeah. That's always something that has to go in the blender. So does Downs ultimately hurt his stock, dare I say, a bit? I don't think it's going to be tremendously, but does he hurt his stock a bit because some other guys really popped, and Styles is just one example of it?
Again, it's easy for me to say because I'm not in this position. I would just feel like if I'm coming out of Syracuse and I'm a player, man, I want to, no matter, like, of course, if my stock is a first-round pick, right, it's easier to try to not do it. But I would feel like no matter what my stock is, I'd want to do it. I'm competing against my position. I get to flex. I get to another touch point for me with NFL teams. As much as they're interviewing me, I'm interviewing them. Learning about them and things of that nature. So I would hope if I was in that position, I'd want to compete as much as possible. And here's the thing, right? The NFL Combine, you're working with, depending on your position, right? Let's say quarterback for the sense of this. I understand Caleb Downs is safety, but You're throwing to receivers you've never thrown to before. You're running drills that it's not under your control. It's a combine. They're telling you run this drill, run this drill,
Right.
run this drill. At your pro day, it's a dress rehearsal. You've done it 50 times. You're sleeping in your bed the night before. You're going through the same drills you went through. You know what you're doing. There's a comfortability there. You're around your coaches, your health doctors and PT people and everything else. They're all around there. So I get why these people do that pro day, because in theory, and Lurch, I'm sure you've covered plenty of pro days just like I have, that they fudge the numbers at pro days. I talked about it a little bit this before.
Yeah, some guys, I saw CBW put a comment in here, I'll throw it up here. Some players prefer doing their own pro day at their school.
Right.
Yes, they do. And I understand why. Okay. Because it now is, this is what I do like about the combine. Okay. Yeah. The combine, for the most part, is an independent, it's a neutrally run thing. Okay. Right. All cards are on the table. Here's the things that we're offering.
Right. The measurements are unbiased in theory. They're all supposed to be the same. Right?
Theoretically, and I think it's probably true. It's as unbiased as you're going to get. I mean, those 40 times are real. Then you go to someone's pro day, and who's working that stopwatch? Who's hitting that electronic timer? And suddenly we've seen it before. I mean, we saw it. I heard you discussing it on your show this morning, and it's a true one. We saw with Amba Edetawa, who dropped his 40 time by like almost 0.14 or 0.13 seconds. Like
0.14. Again, if you missed Boy Green Daily this morning, again, this is a real story. I'm not kidding. This is 100% real. Okay. So pre-COVID, I covered Syracuse football pro days. One of the greatest honors of my life. I'm a draft fan and get to be there. It's so cool. I got to cover a bunch of them. And one of the years, right, the combine is before anyone's pro day. No pro days before the combine. That doesn't make any sense. So pro days are now going to be in March and April leading up to the draft. So Amba Edetawa, Syracuse product. He transfers over from Maryland. Last year is at Syracuse. He puts up video game numbers. He goes to the combine. He runs a 40-yard dash. And I hear from people inside the Syracuse building what they think he's going to run. And I'm like, all right, let's see. And it was slower. The actual result was slower than what I was told. It was a 4.5 flat, the 40. And I said, oh, maybe he just slipped on the first one. And then he ran 4.5 again. I went, oh, well, I guess that's what he is. Okay. We go to the pro day. And he runs his 40-yard dash, and he runs it. And I see all the scouts, there's like 25 NFL scouts there, and they boop, 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 time it. And then they're saying whatever times they got. At the end of the day, Syracuse passes out, whether it's digital or physical. They gave us a physical sheet and said, hey, here are all the results of all the people that participated at the pro day today. Here are their official numbers according to us, Syracuse. So I went, oh, okay. Yeah. I looked at the 40-yard dash for Amba. I'm like, 4.36. I'm like,
4.4. He's under 4.4.
I'm like, come on. And it was an audible. Come on, man. Like, are you kidding me? He shaved 0.14 off from the combine to here. Like, what kind of program was he on in a month? Shaved off 0.14. Like, again, it seemed incredibly unlikely. Which, again, the long story short of it, the peek behind the curtain is there's a thumb on the scale at pro days. Teams know this. Everybody knows this. Maybe the fans don't know it as well, but 100% that happens. So just come on, man.
And, typically in pro day too, like you get to practice in advance with the person who's doing things with you. So the receivers, they're working with a particular quarterback or a coach that's doing all these throws. They're rehearsing it over and over and over and over again. Now, look, in the combine, these guys rehearse a lot of things too. They work on these things. They know what they're going to be tested on. So they can line up the same cones and do these drills. They can line up everything the same way. They know what they're going to be going through. There's no hiding it. But when you're working with the particular player in a particular, it becomes a practiced event. Right. And then it just makes it that much more unrealistic. Like I already have great respect. And now I have no respect because come on, how is this football? Now I'm in my underwear working with a guy that I've been working with for 5 weeks who's throwing me the same route that I've been running for 5 weeks. I mean, chances are it's going to hit. So there is a little bit of, you just have to have a little bit of, understanding as to what you're looking at rather than just look at the raw numbers and let mind be blown. Okay.
Anywho, to answer your question on the Caleb Downs thing, Can it hurt him that he didn't participate at the combine? Of course it can. Now, if you're Fernando, you know it doesn't hurt you because you're going number one. So there are exceptions to the rules, of course, but not competing. Again, I prefer all the guys to compete. Go out there, let it all. Especially with Caleb, who's a safety, and there's a certain level of having to prove yourself versus Fernando that you have to do. He did not do. So we'll see how his process sort of goes here. But that is a devalued position, so you need all the help you can get, and we'll see how that affects him.
All right, it's the Manchild Show with Boy Green Digital at MC Show Digital. That is our YouTube handle. And as you can see by the scrolling ticker below, membership available. If you're not a member, why not join right now? Become part of the 12th Manchild. Look, we got a cool logo for all you 12th Manchilders there. And very, very cool little way to support the show. And you can do it, but you have to be a subscriber first. So first you subscribe, and then you join as a member, and you can help support the channel, which we really, really appreciate it. Today we are brought to you, or presented, I should say, by our friends at Northeast Roofing Professionals. You see them up above us there in the center of the screen. Very, very good people doing roofs here in Central New York, particularly in the Fayetteville and DeWitt and surrounding areas. So if you live here in Central New York and you're looking to get some repairs on your roof, or maybe you're going to replace it, they do both shingle and metal roofs. Really, really cool stuff. And today's video is brought to you by our friends at Creative Florist, part of the Allen Floral Group. So, Boy Green, let's have a sip of water, take a break. We'll come right back. We're going to break down more combine, and then we're going to talk about some of the free agents. So a lot still to come. Manchild Show with Boy Green Digital. We shall be right back.
Well, hello, how do you do? I got a feeling I'm falling for you. Well, hello, what do you say? I think we can make it a beautiful day. We're gonna make it a beautiful day.
Finding the right local roofing company can be tricky. You don't want to hire the wrong roofers, or you could end up spending a fortune on repairs. The pros at Northeast Roofing Professionals can ensure your home is protected by a strong and sturdy roof. Locally owned and operated, over 30 years experience, free estimates, and competitively priced. Don't settle for an inexperienced roofing contractor. Turn to Northeast Roofing Professionals. Discounts for military and first responders. Reach out and let them put a sturdy roof over your head. NERPCNY.com. NERPCNY.com.
All right, we are back. Manchild Show with Boy Green Digital at MC Show Digital. Also, aside from memberships, we also have super chats available now, too. And if you are a member, by the way, use those emojis. We got some cool emojis. We'll be creating some more fun ones for you as well. But I'd love to see some of those emojis popping up there in your little comment section there. So feel free to partake, dare I say, in a little emoji madness. All right, speaking of madness, let's continue talking about the combine. All right, Sonny Styles, he had a good day. Who else had a good day, Boy Green? Who else was popping off the board, dare I say, that got the attention of some NFL GMs and front offices?
Yeah, some of the other people that in my mind stood out. Again, you got to give a tip of the cap certainly to Ty Simpson, the quarterback out of Alabama. He performed very admirably. I really like how he looked personally at quarterback. I think he's going to be the QB too. Yeah, 100%. You're probably a name that's off the radar for a lot of people. UConn wide receiver Skylar Bell. He's 6'0", 190 pounds, but he ran a 4.4 40-yard dash, leapt 41 inches in the vertical, and again created some significant buzz out there from that perspective at wide receiver. I'd also give a tip of the cap to Omar Cooper Jr. He's a wide receiver out of Indiana, someone that was catching passes from Fernando Mendoza. But speaking of Mendoza, I want to go to a quarterback, Taylon Green out of Arkansas. He's 6'6", 227 pounds, and his pro player comp, sometimes you see the numbers of, hey, the 40-yard dash was this, the vertical jump was this. Taylon Green was pro comp to DK Metcalf. So Taylon Green, the quarterback, his pro comp was DK Metcalf just because of the measurables. When he was asked about those measurables, he said, yeah, I'm a quarterback, so that's stupid. So because Lamar Jackson went through that with Bill Polian, and people said, ooh, nice running back numbers here, nice wide receiver numbers. So he reiterated that, and he just shattered combine records here. He had a vertical jump of 43.5 inches, broad jump of 11.2. Both of those were the best for a quarterback of the combine since at least 2003 per ESPN's data. So he just lit up the combine. He was spectacular. And again, he's someone that I think is going to really start picking up steam on day 3 of this process. So again, Arkansas, throw that in there into the mix. I would say there's a couple of disappointing guys here, Lurch. Denzel Boston, he's a big wide receiver out of Washington, 6'4", showed a ton of sloppiness with drops and things of that nature, which, and when you get some of those bigger guys, they have an inability to separate. So then that comes under the magnifying glass of whether or not they think you could do that at the NFL level. Mekhi Lemon out of USC, he's measured in at 5'11", 192 pounds. Some people believe he's a slot only player. That also sometimes dings you in the process because then you have to manufacture touches for that kind of player. And also he just sort of had a weird combine. His interactions with the media were a little bizarre, and apparently his interviews did not go very well behind the scenes, according to some out there in the universe. So Mekhi Lemon, that stock dropped a little bit as well. And I'll throw one more out here. Carnell Tate, who you mentioned your Giants, defense. Some Giant fans
40 wasn't
offense
great, right?
Wide receiver. Yeah. 4.5, 4.40, which was disappointing. Again, that's one of those where he runs a 4.5 40 initially, and the broadcast, Dana Jeremiah, Rich Eisen, all of us are home like, well, he slipped. Something happened. He slipped on a banana peel. All right, do it again. 4.54 exactly again. So that will scare some teams off with that kind of speed. People wanted to see him in the 4.4 range. To see him in the mid 4.5s was disappointing for a lot of people. So maybe that could lead to a slip on draft day. Who knows? Hey, Puka Nacua ran a 4.57 at the combine, and we all saw how that turned out. So, there's all kinds of different stories for different things.
Yeah, and I also think like Tate is such a good route runner, and he's got such good hands. Like he's a good football player.
Yeah.
So I don't think that his 40 time should bounce him from a team that maybe was thinking of taking him in the top 10. But teams are funky the way they look at these numbers and these stats. So it wouldn't shock me, but I don't think it's a great football decision. And that's, again, why I circle back to, the combine has its uses. There are things that you certainly can take away. But it almost seems like when you talk to people in front offices, and we've talked to a lot of them over the years, or people that are regularly in touch with front office people that we talk to regularly on the show, it feels to me like the number one thing that the front offices of the NFL get out of the combine is the interview stuff.
Yes.
It's talking to the player. Number one, challenging them in terms of their football knowledge. Okay. Do they understand the game well enough to adapt quickly at the pro level? I think that's something they test them on. And then they just want to kind of know, what is their moxie? Is this a player that loves the game of football? Is this the player that's going to show up at training camp already in shape? Is this a player that already cares about nutrition? Okay, before they even walk in the door. Yes, we can provide them with tools, but do they already care about that stuff? So I think they glean a lot of information out of the players that I think helps more so than what somebody runs in the 40. All useful information, but I always get the vibe, you agree with me? I always get the vibe from people we talk to that are in this loop regularly that it's the interview piece that might be the most influential piece when it comes to whether someone moves up or down.
Yeah, I think there's something to be said for that. And again, we don't get to, that's the thing, right?
And we don't get to see any of that. That's all behind the scenes. We hear rumors, we hear speculation, but we don't get to see it.
And we don't even know if the things we hear are true or false, right? Our team's trying to, I don't know. Did you hear, I don't know if you heard this, Lurch. You said on your combine coverage watching. So Fernando Mendoza obviously did not work out, but he hit Media Row a little bit. And there's TV shows, radio stations, everything. And he sits down with Aditi Kinkabawala. She's part of CBS Sports. And, this is one of the common questions that players get asked at the podium. What's the weirdest interaction you had with an NFL team? And Fernando says, one team told me when I was in a meeting with them, talking to them, they said, we hope you get arrested before the draft. And Aditi is like dumbfounded. She doesn't understand. And Fernando is like, because they want me to fall in the draft.
Mhm.
So like I get arrested. And he said that was just a weird thing. And then Aditi then gets it. She was very good. She didn't understand what that meant at first. And then she says, "Oh, we'll tell the team." And Fernando went, "I'm not going to put the team on blast, but that did happen."
Yeah.
So sometimes you get those weird things. But anywho, the reason I bring it up is we don't know the truth, right? So these rumors come out that Mekhi Lemon's interview process went terribly. Well, no team is going to come out and say, no, it was cool. Like, of course not. So they're going to let the rumors just do whatever they're going to do. And that's the unfortunate part of this, that occasionally that's going to happen. And these kind of rumors and things can run rampant. And then sometimes false rumors, right? In today's day and age, it's hard to tell who's credible and who's not.
True.
If you're on Twitter, which is my biggest following, I have nearly 20,000 followers on Twitter. I have my blue check mark that I earned on my own, but there's a lot of these people that just can buy a blue check mark now and just whisper one rumor, and all of a sudden everyone starts aggregating that rumor, boo, 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 and it was fake. But it doesn't matter. Perception's reality, and now everyone thinks potentially with Mekhi Lemon. Now that one I heard from Scott Mason, who has been doing this for a long time with the people he's talked to. So I believe that he did in fact hear that, but sometimes you get a lot of false stuff out there in the universe, which stinks.
Yeah, I would concur. That is definitely true. All right. Any other highlights on the combine before we talk a little about free agency? Anything else sticking in your craw? Anything else that you caught that is worth mentioning here?
No, like I said, I think we got to a lot of the, there's fun, goofy things happen in the combine. Like I said, mullets and mothers and all kinds of other, activity. And there were people that, I'll just say, again, giving more flowers to Stacey Dales, who was the on-field reporter running around all over the place. You just see how important it is to these guys. I believe Mike Washington was the one after he ran his 40-yard dash, and it was better than anyone thought it was going to be, and it became sort of a little bit of a viral moment. He was seen. There's 1 million cameras at the combine. He's on a bench in between drills, and he's crying. He's just bawling like a baby, and it looks like he's calling his mom and stuff like that. He's just taking it all in like, wow. Like, I got invited to the combine. There was a little fewer than 400 people invited to the combine, and you have a chance to change everything. All 32 teams are there, and you have the right moment, the right thing that catches people off guard. Whoa, that 40 was faster than we thought. And then they start diving into the player, and then maybe you get drafted, and then your entire future changes.
Right.
There's a lot of players that never get a shot, right? They didn't get invited to the combine. They never get seen. And then they're working at McDonald's, but a team just didn't give him Kurt Warner, right? He's bagging groceries. And then all of a sudden he gets a chance to go crazy. You just never know. So there's a lot of NFL stars that may be walking around the earth that we never knew. They never got their shot, and then it was over. So that story was really cool. And there's a few of those from Stacey Dales that she highlighted where, it just shook the player to their core. And again, that's why you watch a combine beyond it. So some cool stories.
All right, let's bust into some free agency talk here. A lot of going on in the rumor mill. A lot of times the combine, and we talked about it with several of our insiders, some of whom were actually at the combine. Ed Valentine, our Giants insider, was at the combine. Jake Asman was at the combine. We'll talk to him this week about his experiences there. But one of the things we hear over and over again is a lot of the rumor mill gets stirred up at the old steakhouses over steak and scotch. So let's have a little steak and scotch here. It's a little early in the morning. I don't quite have the hair on my chest yet, but let us dabble, dare I say, in some of the rumors and the speculation and see what we think either makes sense or that we like hearing.
Yeah, I'll throw a random Jets one here. We got a couple hundred people in the room, by the way. Make sure you guys like the video no matter where you're watching, and feel free to hop on over. Again, we are streaming live in 3 different places, including the youtube.com/@MCShowDigital. You're on YouTube. Make sure you guys hit subscribe. We're closing on 700 subscribers, by the way, so thank you guys so much for the support. That's awesome.
Yeah, I'll give you some green mood here while we talk.
Oh, nice. And here it is. Matthew Berry heard this, and then it's been championed by a lot of people. Matthew Berry said the rumor that he keeps hearing is Kyler Murray to the Jets in some form or fashion. The belief is he will get cut. So if this is the cool thing, if you're a Jets fan, if you like Kyler or not, that because of all the guaranteed money Arizona would owe him, some of these veterans can be had for the veteran minimum. So they only have to, on you, the new team, that costs $1 million, and you get $1 million lottery ticket, and it can work out great. That can be terrible, but at least the other team is fronting the bill. So Matthew Berry he kept hearing people say Kyler Murray to the Jets, and Matthew Berry is not an insider from that perspective. But I found it interesting that insiders then confirmed what he had heard. Connor Hughes this morning, and we'll get into Connor Hughes. He covers both the Giants and Jets, and he has nuggets on both I want to get into. But he says he is also hearing the Kyler Murray buzz, and that's the thing he heard the most in terms of the quarterback. Here is what he said. One name that surfaced repeatedly in league discussions is Kyler Murray to the Jets. And he mentioned that there's logic to it and all those kind of things. I would just say this. Kyler Murray has some baggage that I'm not a fan of. Specifically, Connor Hughes mentioned that here, long-term for a young developing team. One anonymous coach told Connor Hughes it would be a disaster who worked with Kyler Murray in Arizona. The source cited concerns about his work ethic, leadership, and locker room connectivity during his time with the Cardinals. He's not a person people like to follow. So you don't love hearing that, which scares me. But here's the things that I like about it. He'd be dirt cheap. I just mentioned he'd be on the veteran minimum. He'd be a clear upgrade over what the Jets have had at quarterback. And quite frankly, the Jets are desperate. They're trying to win games now. And I think Kyler Murray could help them win games now. Now, if you're billing him as the franchise quarterback for the next 10 years, I'm not sure how I feel about it. But here's the thing. This may be a mutually beneficial relationship. Kyler Murray is, I would have imagined, no matter who he signs with, whether it's the Vikings or the Jets, he's signing this 1-year veteran minimum deal. Make the Cardinals front the bill. You ball out in 2026, and then either the team you just balled out for will give you money, or the next team will give you a bag of money. So maybe the Jets and Kyler could do a handshake. Hey, you're our quarterback. You try to win us a bunch of games, and then you can just go on your merry way because we're going to go in the draft, or they keep Kyler Murray. So there are some red flags with it, Lurch, but apparently the biggest buzz at the Combine is Kyler Murray to the Jets.
So mixed on that. I'm so mixed.
As am I.
When we first started talking about possible quarterbacks that would be available and that the Jets should take a serious look at, I was kind of in the Kyler Murray corner because, like, he is an athletic freak in a lot of ways. I mean, let's not forget this guy was the number 1 overall pick in the draft. I mean, you know, and NFL scouts, NFL, front offices were very high on this guy. And he can do things that other quarterbacks can't do. And by the way, he has a very good arm. You know, his biggest challenge is his height. He's a little mite of a guy. He's very quick on his feet, but he has, dare I say, a little bit of the Doug Flutie syndrome, okay, where, you got to get him some lanes. He's not going to throw over 6'6" guys with their hands up. I mean, it's, you're not going to get it, at his height. You just can't. No matter how high his release point is, it doesn't matter. He's not a tall guy. So,
he's listed at 5'10" for those counting at home.
That might be generous. That might be generous. All right. But he's under 6 feet. I mean, an NFL quarterback under 6 feet with the monsters that are in front of these guys, it's just, it's another obstacle you have to overcome. But I think I'm off him, to be honest with you, for the Jets, because all the things that you just said about the potential issues out there and the rumor mill and the speculation, like, number one, typically where there's smoke, there's fire. And number two, what's the one thing that Aaron Glenn doesn't need this year if he wants to keep his job beyond the season? Tumult in the locker room. A quarterback who isn't leading, okay, or who people don't want to follow. So if I even get like a sniff of a quarterback that I'm going to bring into my roster, albeit a cheap option with a lot of upside, but as you said, an improvement over what we have, for sure. No denying anything that you said there. I don't want a sniff of a guy whose, leadership qualities have been questioned. Yeah. So I'd stay away from him if I were the Jets. There just have to be better options. And I think there are a couple, again, if you can get interest there, if you can garner some interest there. So I don't know. There is this intrigue still in the very back recesses of my mind. Because he does a lot of what modern day quarterbacks do, right? He's really good with his feet and his arm. Right.
He's only 28.
He's a dual threat, and he's right, and he's in his prime. He's absolutely positively in his prime. So there's a lot to like there, and could a fresh start just kind of open things up for him? The Jets, in my opinion, have put together a nice little offensive staff, kind of led by Frank Reich. I kind of like that. You're working with a veteran guy, a guy that's actually played quarterback in the NFL, very high level. Yada yada. I think there's some good developmental pieces in place for as much as Aaron Glenn has been maligned for the staff he has put together, and I'm not sure I love the defensive side of things right now with the superpowers and then hiring a DC that seems like a yes man. I don't know it's going to give you much. He better have superpowers because I don't know that anyone else on that defensive staff has given him any powers. So he's going to need to super power it up. Plus, they need some personnel, too. But on the offensive side of the ball, I actually think that they have some people in place that can help somebody either stabilize somebody who's been a little bit off track or to develop somebody who's a young guy with that veteran leadership. But I don't know. I'm off Kyler Murray for the Jets. I don't like it.
The only thing I would say is if the Jets are serious about investigating the Kyler Murray thing, you just have to investigate these things that Connor Hughes wrote from an anonymous coach that told them. They cited this anonymous coach who worked with Kyler Murray in Arizona, said he cited concerns about, quote, work ethic, leadership, and locker room connectivity. Now, the coach, now you have to verify its perception of this coach saying, I don't think he was very good at those things. Maybe just one coach. I don't know. So if you're the team, you have to vet that out and see if that's serious. If those are real, are you willing to have that for your quarterback who's supposed to, quote, lead the team? That may be a little risky. So again, there is a big Jets rumor that came out. That's a big Jets rumor that came out there.
Okay.
Well, I guess.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, cool. We'll jump between colors here and jump. Let's go to your Giants. Let's get some blue in here for you, Lurch.
Sure, there you go.
Yeah, okay. There we go, baby. There you go. Now I feel comfortable, talking about your Giants. There are a lot of running back rumors here, Lurch, on the New York Giants about what they could do. Yeah, very intriguing to me. I find it incredibly fascinating. So first I'll go away from the ESPN article just to go to Zach Rosenblatt of The Athletic, who wrote this piece this morning. And again, he mostly covers the Jets, but he also just had other sourcing here. And he says the Seattle Seahawks don't plan on franchise tagging Kenneth Walker, the Super Bowl MVP. And he said, from what he heard at the Combine, is that the Giants have serious interest in pursuing Kenneth Walker, according to league sources. The contract Walker signs could help settle Breece Hall's negotiations. We can get into the Breece Hall part of it in a second. So apparently Giants are interested in Super Bowl MVP Kenneth Walker, who's 25 years of age. And Lurch, beyond that, we can sort of package all this together. The Giants are heavily looking at running back. I heard Matthew Berry share this, whether it's Jeremiah Love or the rest of the top end of the market at running back. The good thing, I guess you'll say, we talked about the David Montgomery breaking news trade earlier. That's one team out of the mix. The Texans apparently were hunting at the top of the market in free agency, and now with the David Montgomery trade, I imagine that takes him out of that market. So one less team competing against you, if indeed you buy this. Do you buy or sell? The Giants are all over running backs, both in free agency and potentially the draft.
Well, I do buy that they're looking at running backs. And I guess, all right, so let's look at this in two ways. Number one, wait a minute, we're going to, rather than draft a running back, which is always much cheaper, we're going to go out and potentially go get what could be the most expensive running back on the market coming off his Super Bowl MVP. I mean, Kenneth Walker's stock is up. Okay.
Yeah, he's supposed to be, Lurch, just to give you money on this. He's expected to get between 12 and 14.5 million per year. If he gets in that range per year, he would become a top 5 highest paid running back in football.
Which, by the way,
yeah,
because running back salaries are so down, is actually across the cap a reasonable number. Like
it is, quite frankly.
I mean, they're talking Tyler Linderbaum, a center, is going to get over 20. All right, against the cap, you could get Walker for 12. What a bargain, right? He's probably going to have a bigger impact on your team, and you're getting him at $8 million less per year, maybe even more than that.
Sure.
So, like, there's the reasonableness of the free agent running back market.
Correct.
Right. But the Giants have so many needs in so many places. And why wouldn't they satisfy that need if they feel it's a great need in the draft where it's going to be much cheaper? Or could you look at somebody, I know, I'm not sure if he's freed up yet or not. You'll probably know off the top of your head.
Yeah.
But like I was looking at running backs who either are available or might be available here in this upcoming, as decisions are made about franchise tags and all that stuff. Obviously, we're in that period right now where some guys are going to get locked in, right? George Pickens is now locked in by Dallas, all right? Things are happening right now, and there'll be some cutoff dates coming up.
Tomorrow the 3rd is the cutoff date for franchise.
Okay, so a lot of decisions going to be made in the next 24 hours. On that part, is Tyler Algier going to officially be a free agent? Because he'd be a guy I'd be really interested in. Now you're not paying Kenneth Walker money. And by the way, you're getting a nice young guy who hasn't been overused because he's been sitting behind Bijan Robinson primarily, who I think could be a real hammer. Okay. Yeah. I would go chase a guy like that over, not that I don't like Walker, but Walker's going to cost you prohibitively more. Right. And this guy, you can look at the two ages. My guess is that Algier's a few years younger than Walker. I know Walker's not an old guy.
He's 25.
So Walker's 25. That's it. Wow. So what's Algier? Let's find out if he's younger.
25.
25, also the same age.
They're the same age.
So they're not a difference in age. Okay. But anyway, all right. There goes that part of my argument. But I still think that Algier has way less miles on the tire.
He does. Okay? I can confirm
his tires have more tread. And I think that because he hasn't been incredibly accomplished, like Walker coming off a Super Bowl MVP, all right, that, again, the price tag will be lower. So if you're going to spend in free agency, I'd rather the Giants be chasing a guy like Algier than a guy like Walker, or even better yet, then just go draft a running back. Because you can get a running back in the third, the fourth, maybe even the fifth round who could turn out to be a starter on your team. That's just the way the running backs go in the NFL draft. So I hear the speculation.
Yeah, hear the numbers on that real quick, Lurch.
Yep, go ahead.
Yeah, Kenneth Walker has had over 820 carries in his career. This does not include playoffs, so add that to this pile as well. Tyler Algier has 200 carries less, and it's more than that because of the playoffs being included as well. So again, right. So a full season. He is basically, if you think about it in that range, he has a full season less of touches. Yeah.
Okay. So same age, but to me, less mileage on the tires. Also, not as accomplished yet. Okay. Where the price tag is going to be a little bit lower. But I don't have any doubt that the running game and the pieces that are going to be put together to make the running game better for the New York Football Giants are at play, because John Harbaugh, this is how he butters his bread. This is absolutely right out of the John Harbaugh playbook. We got to get good in the trenches. Yeah. All right. We got to be able to blow people off the line of scrimmage and be physical. And we got to have running backs that can bust through those holes and get the extra yards. I mean, so I just think that's his total modus operandi. Therefore, it's not surprising to me at all that rumors like this are out there. But I would just not pay top dollar for a Kenneth Walker when, number one, I think there are other options on the free agent market, or you can go much cheaper in the draft.
Yeah, Tyler Algier is one of my favorite players in free agency that no one's talking about. Lurch, he is like, let's round up.
Let's keep that quiet.
Yeah. Let's call it 700 carries that he's had in his career. He has not fumbled a single time. Think about that reliability. 700 touches, and that's not including like receptions and stuff. Yeah. 0 fumbles. He is all reliable. He's not a big name. He was under the, behind the shadow of Bijan Robinson. I would be all over Tyler Algier. It's going to be less money.
Shadows, brother.
Yeah, I know. And apparently the deal he's seeking that's been sort of put out there is a 3-year deal for $21 million. $7 million per year?
Come on. Let's get on
what
that.
What are we waiting for?
Get on 100%. That trade ended right now. Let's go.
So man, I think, let me just predict this here, because Lurch, we're a week away from the legal tampering period. We all love that word, right? That combination of words, legal tampering period.
Yeah.
We're a week away from that. Yeah, it'll be at noon a week from today is the legal tampering period. And then for the, what's the math on that? 60-ish hours for that period, you're allowed to talk to free agents and negotiate and all this other stuff. And then on Wednesday, March 11th, the doors open. Free agency starts officially at 4:00. Trades become official, signings become official, and all that. And we're going to get a mad dash. You're going to start seeing all kinds of reported and other rumors that are going out there in the universe. So,
we've been pretty good on rumors in recent weeks. Yeah. I know you predicted that trade that the Jets made. Okay. So kudos to you on that. Nice. If we go back a little bit further, I believe I was one of the first people out there in the ethos talking about Mike Tomlin stepping away as
you
Steelers.
Did? Yes, you were first.
A good week, if not 2 weeks, in advance of it happening. And not only did I know it was going to happen, I had very good sources in Pittsburgh, so thank those sources. Okay, it didn't just come from my mind. All right. But also that he was going to step down. This wasn't Pittsburgh relieving him. It was him stepping away. So I had the whole story on that. And so we've been right about some things. So we're wrong about things as always, but hey, man, a little kudos for us when we're right. So let's go prediction here. All right, I'll lay this one down right now. I'm throwing the dagger down right now.
Okay.
If the Giants sign a free agent running back rather than it be Kenneth Walker, I say it's Tyler Algier. That's the guy I want on the Giants.
Ooh, okay.
Prediction.
All right. March 2nd. March 2nd. Let's get that in here. All right. I see, Lurch, we have a super chat here from Philly Noodles. So again, there you go, baby. So appreciate that every time.
Philly.
Let's see. Oh,
I
yeah,
was asked, I wasn't asked. There was a thread in your comments this morning on Boy Green Daily, and I was there this morning watching.
I saw
the
that.
show,
yes. Yeah. Thank you for the
show. And somebody put out. This is for you, Philly. Now, this is very interesting, and not to grease you in any way, shape, or form. Just honest. Someone said, of all the coffee club members, if you were starting a football team, right? Who's your first choice right out of the Boy Green Coffee Club?
Oh, yes, I saw that, yeah.
And so I was like, well, I got to chime in on this. So I'm just kind of going through my list of a lot of the people that I met at the tailgate, just thinking, who did I meet that really impressed me, so on and so forth. And I immediately jumped in and I said, Philly Noodles is my pick. I put that in your comments. So you can go back, check out this.
Look at the size. I saw him at the tailgate. I mean,
showing up big time, man. You might, you're going to jump right in there, be one of my hog mollies or something, man. I'll get you right in there, maybe middle linebacker. Something like that. You could be my Sonny Styles, something like that.
Ooh, okay, there you go. Which, by the way, thanks for the super chat.
Just a bit outside.
There you go.
Appreciate that. $2 super chat coming in. He was talking about David Montgomery, so I may have to look it up if the trade details were a little different from what I'm seeing here, because I believe the Texans pulled off multiple trades. They traded away Titus Howard, which was its own trade, and then I believe they gave him a fifth for Montgomery. So I may have to relook at the details if some of them I have fudged up here. But long story short, he's saying that David Montgomery's price means Breece Hall's price went up, which again, their deadline is tomorrow. So the latest from Connor Hughes, the NFL insider from SNY, he has some other Giant stuff we'll get into as well on top of his coverage for the Jets, is that the Jets don't want to use the tag. They will use it if they have to, but they don't want to. They want to just hammer out a 3-year deal right now, Breece. Let's give him basically $12 million a year, 3 years, $36 million, and let's bing, boom, bam. It's all done. So that's what's happening. That's what they want to do. So we'll see if they can bang it out here. Again, I'd be surprised if Breece agrees to a deal before we get to the deadline tomorrow of the tag. Like, I think the Jets are going to have to be forced to use the tag, and then we go from there. And maybe a long-term deal can still get executed. But if if we get a Breece deal today or tomorrow, I'd be like, wow, okay, congrats to the Jets for getting that done before free agency. I'd be surprised. So, but I do believe that David Montgomery going for the low price that he went for speaks to things for Breece. So, yeah. What was your reaction if there's any connective tissue here, Lurch?
Yeah, no. Number one, I mean, I actually think it would be prudent of the Jets to sign him to a multi-year deal. He's still in his prime. He's still very young. I really think that he bounced back from that very serious injury that he had a couple of years ago. I think with the right team around him, especially if they can find a quarterback who can be productive, I think he's going to be a rock solid guy. So I just searching for running backs forever. Like I said, even the ones you have to pay for are still somewhat economical in today's market. So why not, lock down an economical position while it's still economical? Because, by the way, things can change. All right. Suddenly, the running back can become a more valuable commodity in a year or two. I mean, we've seen these shifts in pro football in terms of what are the positions that demand the most money. And I see somewhere, look at my crystal ball. I'm looking at my crystal ball here, and I see a future where the running back's value gets increased. I don't know whether that's happening in 2 years, 5 years, or 10 years from now, but I'm telling you, at some point, there's going to be a come-uppance here, and the running back position, I think, is going to be more valued than it currently is. So Breece and almost all the running backs who are out there are a bargain, dare I say, at today's rate, period.
Which, by the way, again, Philly Noodles, thanks for sending in the super chat on the MC Show digital channel. Again, if you guys want to do that, that is the money sign. If you're watching on YouTube, hit that. Gift channel memberships. Buy a membership for yourself. Give some super chats. Appreciate that out there in the universe. So, again, you buy that the Giants are looking, but you think prediction, a little Algier
rather than Walker. So let's smoke screen Walker while no one's thinking about Algier, and then boom, as soon as that free agency date hits, let's go, baby. Let's go get Marcel some Tyler Algier. Clean that thing up.
Let's bring back your Giants blue here, Lurch. I've got some more Giant stuff to feed you.
All right, hold on. I'll throw it back up there.
Yeah,
All right,
yep,
got to
yep,
jump over. Okay, yeah, there you go.
Okay.
Back to the
Yeah,
blue.
there you go. Very nice. Okay. This is from NFL insider Connor Hughes of SNY for the Giants. And it's this: the Giants are willing to move on from Kayvon Thibodeau. Based on conversations with teams that met with the Giants, the sense is they would prefer to. They are actively exploring trade options for Kayvon Thibodeau, and they're trying to determine appropriate value for the player. So there you go. Unbelievable. It looks like they could be moving Kayvon Thibodeau.
They should have, if they were going to do this, they should have done it at the trade deadline during last season rather than now waiting until now, where essentially they only have control for a year, or at least, contractual control anyway. I mean, they could, of course, do the franchise tag and all that nonsense. But, I just, what are they going to get for him? All right, we just said Montgomery for 5th, and I'm just like, oh, boy, what a bargain for the Texans. So if it's just a pick, all right, forget about a trade for a player, all right? If it's
it looks
just
like a pick. Yeah.
What do you think the highest the Giants are going to get for Thibodeau? This is a guy that was a top 10 pick.
Top 5 pick. He was 5th overall.
5 pick. Thank you. 5th overall. Okay. What, 3 years ago, 4 years ago?
4 years ago, 2022.
4 years ago. Top 5 pick 4 years ago. A young man.
Yeah,
okay.
sure.
What are we going to get from him, you think?
I'm afraid.
Give me a best.
I think the best you can do is, I think, a 3rd round draft choice.
It was a number 5
but
pick.
I'm not even sure. Yeah, but I'm not even sure if that happens. So
that just hurts me, man. That just hurts.
Yeah, and here's the extra nugget here. He says league sources expect the Giants to ultimately move him. So the prediction is he will be moved. And then, again, the discussion is what is the value? Yeah.
And that's the worst, too, when everyone knows you want to move somebody.
Yeah.
Because now they're like, well, they're going to move on from him anyway. Let's just offer a 5th. All right, we'll upgrade it to a late 4th. You're like, all right, is that the best we got out there? We'll take it. Gosh.
Well, Lurch, here, I think this is a good opportunity for you to reinstill this take. Of course, we all, I'm not rooting for your Giants to light up and fire. But if you move Kayvon Thibodeau, who, we could debate how good he is, but he has a double-digit sack season in his career. He has shown upside, and that there's something there. How much something we can all debate. And in the new scheme with Harbaugh and everybody, who knows how he's going to fit. Abdul Carter, we don't know. We don't know what Abdul Carter is going to be. And quite frankly, with all due respect, he's shown a lot of red flags of attendance, and those are things you can control. And then, okay, maybe I'd be a little cool with you not showing up on time if you're giving me double-digit sacks. He wasn't given that. So I was getting not even the full effort, which is within everyone's control, of showing up on time, let alone the production on the field. The production on the field is production on the field. Do you have the talent or not? So, boy, if you trade away Kayvon Thibodeau and Abdul Carter's not the guy, all of a sudden this crazy defensive line we all gave the Giants credit for is going to get destroyed like this.
Be looking for an edge in next year's draft. Is what that'll be.
Come on, man.
Man alive. I know.
So I didn't know if you wanted to share anything because you brought this up a couple of days ago and now we're back here. So
I honestly think that if he gets on the right team, if he gets in the right scheme with the right group of players, I actually think he could flourish and become the player that we all thought he was going to be, or at least some semblance of it, better than he's been so far. Okay. So I think there is potential upside for him in the right scheme, in the right system, with the right coaching, that he actually is. We're going to be like, oh, why did we let that guy go? He's really good now, kind of thing. But I do think if you're the Giants, just based on number one, control, price tag, if the Giants jettison him off, no matter what they jettison him off for, they're going to free up over $14 million in cap space. Okay. And that is money that they can spend on another position of need. Mm-hmm. And I think that's exactly what they'll do with that money. That could go into the Tyler Linderbaum fund. It could go into, a wide receiver fund that we're putting together. Mm-hmm. It could go into the corner fund. We have a lot of funds right now, middle of the field guys, linebackers that can actually tackle people. Because I don't think they're going to keep Okereke either. He's been their captain the last 2 years. So,
which could free up some more money. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and that's more money also. So I think that's the biggest reason why the Giants, I think are going to do this is the amount of cap space it frees up, and the fact that at the moment they feel like they can get away with it and get something else that will fill a giant hole. They don't have a giant hole at defensive end right now. They do have a player who has shown questionable work ethic here in year one, but he's only finished 1 year. He's a rookie.
Sure.
A lot of rookies don't pop in their rookie year, and he did show some promise under the seemingly more disciplined hand, dare I say, if that's true, of Mike Kafka, right? At the back end of the season than he did under the seemingly loosey-goosey hand of one Brian Dable. So if you buy all that nonsense behind the scenes about one being a little more loosey-goosey than the other guy, and Kafka maybe perhaps getting through to Abdul Carter, dare I say, a little bit later in the season, then I think the Giants are okay moving forward with the two ends that they have right now, and that makes Thibodeau and his $14 million in cap space expendable.
You're a Judge fan, so you see him every day. Just real quick, Brian Dable's not there anymore, but like from my perspective on any interaction I had with Brian Dable, if someone told me, "Hey, what do you think he is, a hard ass or candy cane?" I would have been like, "Oh, hard ass! Yikes! I don't want any part of that." Yet he's Mr. Loosey Goosey.
Yeah, apparently he is. Apparently he is.
It's surprising. Obviously, yeah. I mean, he is. I'm not questioning the validity of the reporting. I'm just saying, from my outside seat, I thought for sure. You see the Hard Knocks where he's grilling friggin' Jackson Dart and Marvin Harrison Jr., and I'm like, holy crap. And then, Abdul come or don't come, I don't care. Like, anyway.
Well, I think it's... Again, outsider perspective. I'm not in the building, so I mean, this is. I like to say when I'm speculating a little bit, but it's speculation with some level of knowledge, through other people's viewpoints.
Informed speculation.
Informed speculation. Perfectly said. Okay. Informed speculation. All right. And the informed speculation that has come back to me is that Brian Dable, and he's human like a lot of people are with people, right? It's a people skill being a coach, that Dable was a little more interested in being the players' friends, buddies. It's like the dad who loves to just pal around with let's just say the son, okay? I don't want to make this a sexist thing, all right? But, the father and son, and the father's the kid's best pal. And he wants the son to be his pal. Be my pal. We're pals. We do stuff together. We go on trips together. We're pals, right? And the thought is, okay, there are times where that is a nice thing to have. Hey, my best friend is my son, and we're pals. And that's nice. But then there's this other role that the father has, and that is keeping the family on track, making sure that people don't, do things they shouldn't be doing. The idea of, there are moral things in this world that need to be taught to those that we are, that are, our children, and making sure that they are good decision makers so that ultimately when they get on their own, they continue to make good decisions. Those formative years are really important. So, again, to use that analogy, I mean, Bud Poliquin would talk about this ad nauseum. We can have a little convo with him when we talk to him later this week about the role of the parent, okay? And I think the same thing goes for the coach. Sure, I want everybody to like me and want to play for me and be my pal, okay? But then there's this other role of the coach, which is you better show up to meetings on time. You got to work hard all the time. You got to give effort on every play. You got to eat the right things. You got to show up in the weight room. Where were you yesterday? What the heck? Be accountable, right? We have coaches say that all the time. Accountability.
Yeah, sure.
All right?
Yeah.
So I think that feels like, again, what is it? Speculative, whatever I said.
Informed speculation.
Informed speculation. My informed speculation was that Brian Dable, dare I say, was a bit too much of a pal and not enough of a dad.
Okay. I like that story. I don't know how many people have seen the show, but I'll throw this up here. This is a show I watch, Shrinking.
I know this show. Yes.
Oh my God. So, there is a father-son relationship that is featured in season 3, where the father has always been buddy with the son. The mother's the one that cracks a whip, to force people into stereotypes. So there's a good cop, bad cop, every mother, husband, to mother, father, whoever they are. And, eventually the dad has to, get off the pot and be hard blank dad and kick his son into gear, kick him out of the nest to do it. Oh my God, this show's phenomenal. So again, there is that element. So as soon as you start explaining that, I was thinking of the father and son from Shrinking, the next door neighbors. And oh my God, there's very much that there.
And Mark, great comment here. I agree with Mark on this one. He says Thibodeau doesn't seem like he really likes to play football. He's been a disappointment for the Giants. Maybe that's a little bit of a stretch, but I do think that seems more interested sometimes in his public persona,
fashion, and
in his image and his brand.
Definitely,
right. And but the party's missing, I suppose, if I were to be critical of Kayvon, is. Yeah. In order to have the brand, you actually have to do it on the field, so that the brand.
The brand will come if you do the
brand comes off the performance,
correct,
right? So it does seem at times like Thibodeau is not really, as concerned about performance as he is about brand. And I do think that can be detrimental to a player. And he kind of came into the league that way. The Giants kind of had a sense that this guy, I mean, his whole thing at the draft and everything is just like, okay, this guy's a bit of a character. Okay, Hollywood, here we come. I don't know.
Oh, definitely.
I don't know, man. This doesn't look like John Harbaugh hard-nosed football here. This looks like, glitz and glamour and fashion.
Yeah. All right, Lurch, I'm just going to keep, just because I'm on it, we'll bang out all the Giants stuff together here. I'll keep stoking the flames. These are Giants rumors coming out of the Combine.
All right.
This one's from NFL insider Connor Hughes. Okay, Kayvon Thibodeau up. He's going to be moved. But
oh, God bless you.
Bless. Okay, yeah. Allergic to this stuff. But the next thing up here is Dexter Lawrence is, quote, I just had in here. Oh, yeah, quote, untouchable, barring a unbelievable, quote, insane return. There is zero truth to the Giants moving Dexter Lawrence. And there was all this stuff with Carl Banks last year and everything else. And obviously the down year he experienced. But all the belief is he is untouchable. Your reaction to Dexter Lawrence being, quote, unquote, untouchable in trade talks is what?
Yeah, I actually like that mindset of thinking. I mean, he's shown already how talented he is. Yep. Last year was not living up to his talent level. There's no question about it. He took a dip. I don't know what all the reasons behind that were. Did it have a lot to do with the coach? Did it have a lot to do with the losing? Did it have to do with just not taking care of business, being a little out of shape? Or like I said, was there some kind of hidden little injury that we didn't really know about that wasn't being reported but was aggravating him and wasn't really, allowing him to perform at a high level? He's just too talented a player to turn your back on. And I really, again, a lot of this thing with the Giants fans right now, and I'll put myself in that boat, is in Harbaugh we trust. I just think that Harbaugh will get these guys to come around who perhaps, weren't quite playing up to potential, but we know they have it in them. And I think Dexter's one of those guys. Guys in the middle on the defense, they're hard to find, man. And when you get one that just a year ago was being called maybe the best one in the game, you don't just let that guy go walking for some pick or something. So now, or trade him. I think the Giants are doing the right thing here. And I think that Dexter will turn it around. I really do.
All right, here's another Giants nugget. They're in-house free agents. They have several free agents that are set to hit the open market, including wide receiver Wan'Dale Robinson, cornerback Cordell Flott, Jermaine Illuminor, the right tackle, linebacker Micah McFadden. Harbaugh wants them all back. Connor Hughes says the likelihood of that are slim. And that one of the most difficult ones to retain will be wide receiver Wan'Dale Robinson. His market is expected to be strong, and the Tennessee Titans and old friend Brian Dable want him in Tennessee to pair up with Cam Ward. And again, Brian Dable could raid his old Giants free agents, trying to bring some of them in, including Wan'Dale Robinson, who is most likely to play elsewhere. Apparently, Robinson's chance of returning seemed difficult. And Cordell Flott, I heard this from Benjamin Solak of ESPN. He believes he is going to be one of the names that, if I say Cordell Flott to someone on the street, they're like, huh? Who? What? Yeah. Right. And Benjamin Solak believes he is going to be one of those surprising players that gets much more money than anyone thinks. Benjamin Solak now with ESPN here. So the Giants wanting them all back, but apparently unlikely to do that. Is there someone from this group, Lurch, that you absolutely pound the table want back of Wan'Dale Robinson, Cordell Flott, Jermaine Illuminor, or Micah McFadden? Because it sounds like Robinson and Cordell Flott are going to be very difficult. And to be honest, beyond any reporting, Jermaine Illuminor too, he played awesome like a right tackle, and offensive linemen always get paid.
Out of that group, Illuminor's the guy I want back. Okay. If I had to pick one out of those four that you gave me, Illuminor 100%. The line has just been too much of a detriment. We cannot take steps backwards. It must be forward, forward, forward. So Illuminor's the guy. To talk about Wan'Dale for a minute, here's my thoughts on Wan'Dale.
Sure.
The Giants, number one, they thought highly of him. They really thought he could be a diamond in the rough guy when they drafted him. But you know what? I'm not saying he can't be successful with Dable or anywhere else he ends up going, because he's still a pretty young guy. Again, not a lot of mileage on those tires either.
Sure.
He finally did pop this past season once Neighbors got hurt, and then he kind of was the primary, or certainly, if not 1A of the targets. But he
had a career year. Yeah.
He did. And that's exactly the way to label it. He had a career year. So you have to you have to look at it in this way. Was it a career year, or was it Wandale's development now coming to fruition? Okay. Now, the people in the building should know better than anyone which one it is. Okay. Right. That was this a guy that was showing it on the practice field, in his training camps, as he matured as a player, as he became a pro, and now he's arrived, the guy that we thought we drafted, this developmental-ish guy, because I think he was third rounder, maybe, I'm going to guess, something like that.
Second round is how I remember him, but I'll double check.
They saw promise in this guy, and their thought was we're going to develop him, and he can become a real, he can be a force for us. So the Giants should know better than anyone what the answer to that question is. I don't know 100% what the answer to that question is. Okay. He was a second
round pick. He was 43rd overall. Wow, so it's pretty high. Just outside the first round. Very high.
I thought he was a third or a fourth rounder. So that's okay. That's enlightening. All right. So they thought very highly of him.
Sure.
So the question is this, has it been trending up? Is this this is what's been going on, and he's going to continue. We want him. We want that guy. When guys are continuing to trend up, he's coming into his prime now. That's not a guy that you go send over to someone else. I'll give you my take, since I'm not in the building. My feeling was that he hadn't shown a ton coming into this year, just glimpses. There was an inconsistency in his game year to year. And he didn't really become a guy until the guy, Neighbors, was iced, for the season, and they had no choice. You might remember, Giants fans, for those of you out there that are Giants fans, and even you Jet fans will remember this, a couple of years ago, when the entire receiving corps got hurt on the Giants, and a guy named Isaiah Hodgins became the number one receiver for the Giants. And what? Hodgins put up pretty good numbers. He looked like, wow, whoa, where'd they find this guy? Look at, he's the real deal, look at this, right? Holy crow. Where did this come from?
Yeah.
And then we found out what Hodgins really was, when things came back to normal and other guys returned, and it was like,
so he just benefited because someone had to catch the balls. Right.
In other words, suddenly the usage was way up. And listen, he did a good job. I'm not criticizing Hodgins. I mean, he put himself on the map by making those catches and gaining those yards. Okay. But there was some fool's gold there. Now, Wandale is more highly regarded than a guy like Hodgins. Okay. He, as you just said, he was
highly drafted,
relatively high second round pick. I mean, this is a guy that was picked in the middle of the second round, right? Yeah. So the Giants thought more highly of him coming out of college. There's a little different thing here, but I don't know. I'm not heartbroken. To be honest with you, Boy Green, I'm not heartbroken if Wandale is being offered crazy money from other people. And the Giants say, that's not worth it to us, because they already have a number one. Okay. Yeah. And that's the guy you're going to pay at some point here going forward. You got him on the rookie deal now, and that's great. Right. But at some point you're paying him. And if you overpay Wandale, it really hamstrings you at number one, paying the number one what he deserves, and then piecing the rest of the roster together. And the Giants already have some issues with cap money at this point, even though they don't have a great roster. So, you got to get the house in order financially. And unfortunately, Wandale will likely be, cast away just simply because the Giants fiscally can't keep him. All right. I'm going to believe that if the Giants do pay him and they keep him, that their true belief, and again, they're inside the building, so they're in where you have your faith in your franchise. All right. That they've seen that. Okay. They've seen that thing that I was just talking about, that he's been developing, and now he's hitting his sweet spot. It is time. Wandale's a guy now. He's a guy. He's a legit number two. He's a guy. All right. If he's not that to the people in that building who have been watching him for the last several years, then it's time to move on. You're not going to overpay a guy like that. It just doesn't make any sense to do so. So I think he's gone, and I'm not going to cry a river over it, to be honest with you.
Yeah, and man, he's listed at 5'8", 180 pounds.
That's right. It's just that size. It's just that
Yeah.
size, and it's just
Sorry, man. You're sorry to hate on a fellow vertically challenged guy.
I mean,
but,
there are guys that have been diminutive that have been amazing. Look
Steve
at Tyreek
Smith.
Hill before the
Oh, yeah.
craziness.
Oh,
I mean,
Tyreek Hill, sure. Yeah.
Steve
okay.
Smith. I mean, we could name tons of receivers who are undersized who are amazing in
Wayne
the NFL.
Corbett.
But it is a challenge, okay? And it is another little thing on the list of things. Is he worth that? And I just think I think the Giants would like to keep Wan'Dale, but they want to keep him at a reasonable price. And I don't think there's going to be a reasonable price. I think somebody out there is actually going to overpay him.
Okay, here's another random Giants one. This is a little off the beaten path, but it's interesting. This is from Connor Hughes of SNY. Multiple sources at varying levels described new hire Donna Ponte as a, quote, killer, intended as high praise. Her expertise and little tolerance for incompetence or dysfunction, she will surround herself and basically crack the whip on the Giants organization. Between her and John, that building better be, quote, one source, on their shit, end quote. And she has been involved with agent meetings for free agency, and she's been heavily involved with the draft process. So, wow, there is I don't know what more you can add to this, Lurch, of the Donna Ponte love, but she had been working in the league office forever. She interviewed for the Jets GM job. She's interviewed for a couple of GM jobs, and she's obviously, her resume speaks for herself. She is highly credentialed, and man, she knows some important people. She knows people in high places, and apparently this was a John Harbaugh, as Ian O'Connor and Gary Myers told us. He was behind that hire and described as, you've just added a, quote, killer, Lurch, to the front office. Wow.
Yeah, I thought that was a very impressive hire. And I don't doubt that what you're hearing is absolutely true. I have been in business situations, not in the Giants front office, but in my own personal life, where a heavy hitting boss has been brought in. And I can tell you from personal experience, that is not the time to be not your best. That is not the time to be, dare I say, slacking a bit. That is the time to show your wares, show your value to the organization. And let's face it, I mean, if we are to point the finger, I mean, there are a lot of fingers that we can point at the Giants' failures in the last, decade or whatever it's been any even decently good. All right. And a lot of it just seems to be coming back and back over and over again to the front office, to the structure, to the decision makers, okay, in the Giants organization. They have not made good decisions on head coaches, on GMs, all right? And then, those are the ones that we see that are right up front. But I think also, beyond the coaches and the GMs, it's all these other front office people that we don't even know their names, right? But they have a very important job of evaluating talent or helping in this area and helping in this area. And when it's not all pulled together and done right, it can be a disaster. So no doubt she was brought in as a heavy hitter. No doubt that she is part of this Harbaugh complete remake of the Giants. And we need it. So I know, already some heads have rolled, and I won't be surprised if more heads roll. And I won't be surprised at all if there'll be a much, much greater focus for this organization to be doing successful things every single day so that it leads to a more successful product.
Yeah, and this is the last Giants nugget I'll share to you. This is from ESPN. The Giants are going to be in the conversation for Chicago Bears linebacker Tremaine Edmonds. Now, the name should be familiar. He had played for the Buffalo Bills. Robert Saleh called him the Predator. He's 6'5", 250 pounds. He's got the long dreads. He is, you can't miss him. But the Bears have granted him permission to seek a trade. Apparently, the Titans will be interested. The Raiders, Saleh, which makes sense. I just mentioned the quote that Saleh said about him being the Predator. Titans, Raiders, and Giants are all expected to be interested in him and high-end linebackers. He's 27 years of age. Despite playing for 8 years in the league, he was one of the youngest drafted players in NFL history. So he's a big guy. So I'm curious of both Tremaine Edmonds and then on a larger point, that high-end linebacker linebacker, which again could feed back into that draft stuff with Sonny Styles to get that centerpiece, as Ricky New York mentioned, for Harbaugh's defense. So do you have any interest in Tremaine Edmonds? And what about just linebackers in general? Sounds like that's a high priority for the Giants, according to ESPN.
Well, I remember Edmonds very, very well when he was with the Bills and when he was drafted by the Bills.
Yes.
I thought very highly of him coming out of college. As he left the Bills, and I'll have to get into his path since. Has it just been one other team after he left the Bills?
It was Bills after a free agent. He went to the Bears on a big money free agent deal, and those are the only two places.
Okay, so just the Bills and the Bears. Okay. My thought was even on the back end of the Bills thing that the reason they didn't keep him is there just were some leaks in the pipes, dare I say, a little bit, and it wasn't quite. Boy, we had such high hopes for this guy being like an anchor to the center of our defense.
First round pick.
He was, I remember. And he's been good, but he hasn't been great. So I think, view him in that world of being good, but not great. And again, is that what you want to chase on the free agent market? So my answer to your question, long-winded, is I'm lukewarm about Tremaine Edmonds becoming a Giant. And I would be way more excited about Sonny Styles becoming a Giant. So,
yeah, I mentioned Philly Noodles had a super chat earlier, so there's been an update on the trade that was reported. So let me reveal this on the Lions-Texans trade. So now it is Lions have traded running back David Montgomery and a 7th-round pick to the Texans for center Juice Scruggs, one of the better names in the business, and a 4th-round pick. So now they've gotten a 4th, but they had to give up a 7th. So apparently there was some, amendments made to the trade.
7th, and then there's a player involved.
Lions get back a center, and then in exchange they give up David Montgomery. So a little bit
better than a 5th, but
that's true. Yeah. So, but I did want to get that clarity. Philly Noodles, that threw me off according to the report from the initial report, which was a 5th. So, updated numbers there. Thank you, Philly, for that. And then just try to pay attention to Twitter to see if there's anything else that we missed there. So we'll keep an eye. Again, it's update week, Lurch. Again, we're a week out from the legal tampering period. 2 days out from that is free agency. So rumors are going to start coming very hot and heavy, and actual moves too. So let's put that through.
All right, it's Manchild Show with Boy Green Digital. We are presented by our friends at Northeast Roofing Professionals. And as you see in a scrolling ticker below, memberships now available on our channel, starting at just $4.99 a month. Fantastic stuff. And you get some perks for being a member. And we're trying to up those perks every day as we grow our membership. So that's the best way you can support the channel. And obviously, we want you to subscribe to the channel. So if you're out there right now, I see we have over 300 people in the room. Maybe if you're not a subscriber, you can become one right now. We are getting close to 700 subscribers. We've only been out here. We're coming up on like 7 months. We're in that realm right now. So we want to keep growing our community. And so you can help us get there. There's the link right there, youtube.com/MC Show Digital. That's where you want to be. And then you click on subscribe. And if you're already a subscriber, you click on join and you'll see all the options pop up right there. But we need your support. And we thank you for all of you out there who already support us. I see plenty of channel members in the chat today. You get that little special kind of color coding in the chats when you are a member. Like I see Mad Mertz is out there. He's a member. Sure. Thank you, Mad Mertz, for being part of our family. I saw some other members out here today. I'm just scanning through. I know Jamie, the FedEx guy, our Hall of Fame member, was in the chat here earlier. Jared B, I see, is let's see who else. Johnny Boy, I see him.
There you go, nice
member. All right, so yes, lots of members participating today. So thank you, all of you, for your support. And of course, you can gift memberships as well. You can do that as well, and that's a really cool way to share the love with other people. So feel free to share the love. We like it when people share the love.
Absolutely.
All right. Any other free agents tickling your fancy, Boy Green? You had the list today.
Yeah. Let's see. We went through a bunch of Giant stuff. The Jet stuff is, again, I'll circle back to this Breece Hall thing. Again, the franchise tag window closes tomorrow. So some news has already come in. The Cowboys have tagged George Pickens. The Falcons have tagged Kyle Pitts. So some of the franchise tag things have already come about. The Colts are deciding between Alec Pierce and Daniel Jones. It's very reminiscent in a different way of the Giants situation a couple years ago when they had Daniel Jones and Saquon Barkley. They're trying to keep them both, but who do you play the game with? Who are you able to lock in a long-term deal with so you can keep both long-term deal and tag one so neither hits the open market? But there have been, according to the rumors, it sounded like the Colts planned on tagging Alec Pierce, the wide receiver, and then signing Daniel Jones long-term. there was a snag, apparently, these are rumors, in the Daniel Jones negotiation. So now they could pivot and tag Daniel Jones instead so they don't lose him. Then Pierce could hit the open market. So again, there's some complicated stuff going on there. But the Jets relevant news for the Jets fans in the audience is Breece Hall. There are technically 3 types of tags you can use: non-exclusive, exclusive, and transition. Transition is the cheapest, but that also opens the door to potentially lose your player for nothing if you don't match the offer sheet that another team offers. So right now, the Jets' intention is to use the transition tag if they're unable to lock in a long-term deal with Breece Hall. And again, we'll see if they're able to do that. Tomorrow is deadline day to get that done. But if you do tag him, you're allowed to negotiate with that player through July 15th to work out a long-term deal. So, a lot of different ways this could go, but it sounds like the Jets are trying to work in a 3-year deal for Breece Hall. He's 24, so he would get to dip his toes back in the free agent waters 3 years from now at the age of 27, which would be great for Breece. He could dip twice because of the uniqueness of his age. So there's a little Jets thing. You're for them tagging Breece Hall there, Larch?
Yeah, but I think they should sign him. I mean, but can you get it done in time? That's always the problem, right? Can you get it done beforehand? So I do think the Jets do want to sign him. A 3-year deal would be a nice, sweet spot. I think they could get him at a fairly reasonable price. And then, now that's not a position that you have to be that concerned about going forward. So I think that's the way to go. But if you don't, you have to tag him. Yes, you have to tag. You have to use one of the tags on him. You have to use one of the tags on him. You can't let him get out of there. No way. You can't let him.
No, I don't think so. No, I think that would be, to me, that would be a big mistake
major mistake for them.
If they didn't end up doing this. This was an ESPN thing, but I'm curious your thoughts here, Lurch. The Jets are set to have just under $90 million in cap space. That's third most in the league. But according to ESPN's Rich Cimini, the Jets may avoid the big splashes of a couple of players making a lot of money and instead just attack the middle of the market. Instead of signing 2 or 3 players for $20 million per, sign like 10 or 11 at $6 million per, and fill out your roster. What do you make of that plan?
I mean, a lot of times free agency, you can get much better bargains in the middle. I mean, again, I'm still like wincing in pain at the idea of what Linderbaum is going to cost any team.
$20 million per, or more, probably.
You know me. I mean, remember a few years back when the Jets were discussing, probably around this same time of year, whether or not they were going to keep your safety. What the heck was his name? Adams, right? Adams.
Jamal Adams, yeah.
Jamal Adams. And I was, and you were like, oh man, he's a good player. We got to keep that guy. And I was like, Paul, you can't pay safeties. You can't pay this guy crazy money. He's a safety. It's, right. You have to, you pay your left tackle, you pay your edge guys. Obviously you pay your quarterback, you pay, your top receiver, but you can't spend everywhere. And safety it's just not enough of a commodity to pay top dollar. Because remember, Adams, he ended up getting a pretty good contract with the Seahawks. He got a lot of money. And
the highest paid safety in NFL history.
He's a safety. Like, is he making that much of a difference on your defense? The answer is generally speaking, no. And then if he gets hurt, now you're paying all that money to a safety position. Like, ouch. I mean, that just stings. So to me, this thing with Linderbaum is the same thing. Like, man, do I value offensive linemen, and man, do I want this thing finally to come together for the Giants where that offensive line just, keeps guys away from their darn quarterback, and yet that crazy price tag of over $20 million for a center. We're not even talking about a left tackle or even a right tackle. We're talking about a center. Like, ooh, it's hard. It's hard to make that commitment. And the only reason I think I'm like, maybe we should do it is just because, number one, this has been a mess for so long. And number two, like, this guy is a 3-time Pro Bowler. He's 25. Like, everything is lining up that you're going to get close. You're not getting your money's worth completely because it's just too much to pay for that position. Period. I understand it. That's it. Okay. Right. But if I'm going to overpay for a position, I'm going to overpay for a proven 25-year-old, who I plug and play. He starts right away. He's like the anchor of my line, all right? And he's there hopefully for the next 10 years, even beyond this contract. He's coming back for another one, and he's staying right here because he loves me and he loves New York, and we just paid him a ton of money, all right? So maybe he gives us a hometown discount on the next deal. You know what I mean? So that's the only reason. Otherwise, I'd have the same take I had on the Jamal Adams thing, which was like, no way, you don't pay a safety that, you don't pay a center that. You just can't. Right. Your other positions far, far more important on a football team that you're going to have to pay money for.
By the way,
Yes, sir.
here's a nugget just coming in on the Jets. Oh baby, great. So apparently,
No breaking news?
we're still trying to figure out. Not quite, but you can interpret this for what you will. So, we're still trying to figure out who the hell the Jets quarterback is going to be. Well, apparently, according to Brian Costello of the New York Post, there is a name we can cross off the list.
Okay.
This is from Kaz. He covers the New York Jets for the New York Post. I also heard this very similarly this morning from Zach Rosenblatt. Kirk Cousins is not a name on the Jets' radar at all. You can cross him off the list, Brian Costello says, with Kirk Cousins. To me, someone asked me this morning, Paul, what's your ideal quarterback room? Like, within reason. Yeah, Patrick Mahomes, Dan Marino, this. No, like within reason, what's your quarterback room? I said, Kirk Cousins, Tanner McKee, and a rookie. Maybe that's it. But I've just been told this morning that Kirk Cousins is a name that totally not on the radar at all, and it's off the list. Your reaction to that is what?
We've talked a lot about these quarterbacks that are available. I think the problem is that the picking is slim. This is slim pickings. So, if there were other guys out there, then I would probably be like, no, he's too old. I don't know, too many questions. Is that arm strength still what it is? Maybe perhaps at this stage of his career, potentially a little bit more brittle. But again, of the options out there and the fact that you're looking max for 2 years out of this quarterback that you get. I mean, this is a bridge situation right now for the Jets, I think. And you are searching for your quarterback in this and next year's draft. So I mean, he would be, to me, potentially serviceable for 2 years. So like you, I just like his veteran presence. I like kind of his overall leadership thing. I just like a lot about him. So that's a little disappointing to hear that he's not, interested in the Jets at all. But I have heard some speculation that, I don't know, it just doesn't seem to be a warm fuzzy between Kirk Cousins and his thoughts about coming to New York and in particular playing for the Jets. So you don't want a guy that doesn't want to play for you. That's for sure. I never want a guy on my team that doesn't want to play in my colors. So, okay, fine. You don't want us. We don't want you. We're moving right along. There are plenty of people out there that do want us. So
Isn't that the interesting question? So Mark Sacchetti here, I appreciate it, Mark. He says, Cousins does not want to come to the Jets is what I get from that news, right? Is it, if you are thinking about asking a girl to the prom and then you get a strong whisper, she would tell you no emphatically. You're like, I didn't want her anyway. Like, okay, and again, not that Kirk Cousins is the hot girl at the prom because, he has a lot of warts, but so does every quarterback that's here in this market. So interesting. Apparently, we don't know who the guy is, but we can apparently cross one guy off.
If we cross Cousins off the list, let's just do it for
apparently.
Let's just do it for the sense of doing it. Okay.
All
right. Now, who is number one on the list? Is it Derek Carr out of retirement?
You just said it. Retired quarterback Derek Carr. Well, I don't know.
I don't know either. It's like, where do you go?
Well,
you want to bring in that baggage with Kyler Murray? Assuming he's all of a sudden out there, that isn't officially yet, obviously. That's your pivot. I'm not. Again, we've talked about Malik Willis, all right, and there are some people out there in the league, and some people that whose opinions I actually respect that are saying good things. I'm just like, the guy has started six games or 8 games in the NFL
in his career,
games
in 4 years.
I know he's young,
26.
He's physically, what you want in a quarterback today. He's got an arm and feet.
Mobile, right?
Very mobile. This guy, if unleashed, could potentially be one of the top rushing quarterbacks in the NFL.
Sure, maybe.
He has he has those kind of feet. He has
upside,
really active feet. But that's not what I want on the Jets right now. Is a guy running all over the place. Right. I want a guy who gets behind my good offensive line, because you have a good one. All right.
Yeah.
Gets behind my good offensive line, throws in the pocket, and gets the ball to my receivers downfield. Yeah. Right. That's what I want. I want a guy that can stretch the field, that will get it to my receivers, that'll create things from the pocket, not a guy that's looking to run first. Okay. And there's no evidence still to me, even in the games that Malik Willis has played well, that is sustainable, that he is worth what could be Some estimates out there, $30 million a season. I don't know. I've been hearing mixed about that. Is it maybe going to be closer to 20?
I have, right.
30?
There's people that are
We'll
debating
see.
that
We'll
now.
see what that number. What is that market? We haven't.
Right.
That market hasn't been tested yet, but it will be very soon.
Oh, yeah.
Right. And we'll find out if there, dare I say, is some sucker out there willing to pay close to 30 or 30
probably
million
is. I mean, with supply and demand, I don't know. But, M. Valletta and there's a few others that are jumping on this train. What about Geno? Geno Smith. Should be Geno. I'm saying should be Geno. Geno Smith. So he either led or was second in interceptions last year. Did not love that. Did I see what?
Right. Did you see Geno play? I know the Raiders stink.
I did.
I mean, they stink. Their line stinks.
Oh, yeah.
There's a lot of the smell is still coming down the hallway. I mean, they're bad. They're bad. I can't sugarcoat it in any way, shape, or form. Geno just looked bad last year. After looking good for several seasons.
You were in Seattle. Yeah.
He just looked bad. So I don't know, man. I don't like a guy coming off a bad year like that, even though the team has a lot to blame here. There's a lot of blame to be passed on. And again, the player has to want to come too. Does Geno want to come back to New York?
I can dust off that jersey, Lurch. It's in that closet.
You got it. You'd love it.
There's Geno. Dust it off a little and slap it back. I don't know if it'll still fit my fat body, but I'll go check.
Maybe. But can you tell me how old Geno is?
My guess is like 35, but let me see.
Yeah, how old is Geno? I mean, that goes in the blender for me. Is this a guy?
Well, he was the 39th overall pick in the 2013 NFL draft. So what's the math on that? He is 35. He is 35. Yeah.
And Cousins is around the same, right?
He's 37.
38 maybe, or 37.
Let's see.
He's younger than Cousins.
Yeah, Kirk Cousins is 37. He turns 38 in August.
So 2 years. 2-year difference essentially between the two guys. Gosh. I don't want Geno. I don't see it, man. I don't think Geno makes the Jets reasonable this year. I don't see it.
You just said that you don't want a quarterback coming off a bad year, but how many quarterbacks coming off a great year are available? You know what I mean? So like
I said, it's slim pickings.
It is slim pickings. It sucks.
Towards the top of my list because what do you got? The list is extremely short, really short.
Very short. So if you're a Giants fan, you're like, woohoo, glad we got Jackson Dart last year. Now, again, there's some injury crap that you got to worry about, of course, but like, come on, man. I don't know.
All I can say is I'm glad I'm not you. I'm just glad I'm not you this year.
I am sifting through 35 options. Like, you want to know a name that came up a week ago of an option? Andy Dalton. Yeah, Andy Dalton just popped up as a name because he's the backup quarterback at Carolina. Carolina apparently granted him permission to seek a trade, and he used to be with Frank Reich in Carolina, who signed him. Andy freaking Dalton. Those are what is this, 2013? Oh, wait, no, it's 2026? Good Lord. I mean, these are the names we're looking at here, man.
You got to trade. If you're going to go this route, you got to trade for Mac Jones.
Oh, don't give me Mac Jones. And by the way, Jets Worldwide, you're right. Beggars can't be choosers, apparently. But
what about Mac Jones, though? I don't think San Francisco's going to let him go.
Yeah, here was the price this morning on him. Yeah. So, Ken, the rumor has been a second-round pick, and you're like, I don't know, that's a little pricey. Yeah. Zach Rosenblatt this morning on what he heard at the Combine is second starts the conversation. Yeah. It's a 2+, and a 2+ for Mac Jones? And if you pay that kind of price, you immediately have to extend him. You can't give him the power and you trade these crazy assets you let him play off this year. Yeah. And if he's good, you give him a bag of money because then he can hold you up against the barrel with the draft picks. So no, I don't want freaking Mac Jones. And I'm not getting Kyle Shanahan with him.
Jets fans, I'm sure, you break your teeth when you bring a Patriot guy in. It's just yucky. I get it. Yeah. I get it. I can relate. Yeah, but I mean, again, options.
I don't know.
I mean, again, Mac Jones is young.
Is he 26 maybe?
He clearly showed with a good system around him and some good players around him, he can play very solid football.
He's 27. He'll be 28 this fall.
Yeah, I mean,
still youngish.
I know. But again, But if you ask me, Mac Jones or Geno Smith, I want Mac Jones. If you say Mac Jones or Kyler Murray, I think I say Mac Jones.
I'd probably go Kyler.
I'm trying to be objective about what baggage each of the players have, and then just the talent. just the talent and age. Age has to be factored into that too.
Well, I love that we have rules here. Mark Sacchetti says, here's the line of the sand. He punches people in the balls. That's a non-starter. He is a Grayson Allen. There's a deep cut for people that remember college basketball who tripped a bunch of people in college. He is a Grayson Allen tripping like history in the NFL, but he's punched people in the lower royal jewels. He's kicked people in the lower jewels. Like, it's happened so many times that it's now a thing. He did it to defenders. He did it to Sauce Gardner once, and it went viral. So yes,
that crazy stuff.
He's a weird dude. I don't know.
Yeah, all right, weird. But if he can play quarterback, who cares? He's not.
But that's my thing. M. Vallette, Shanahan's the NFL's best play caller, and Shanahan ain't coming with him. That makes me nervous. Malik Willis, Matt LaFleur ain't coming with him. But again,
I agree. There is definitively some level of fool's gold when you are looking at a player who is in a terrific system, and San Francisco has one. There's no doubt about it.
Like, come on. I don't know.
But, there also is some there in saying that you can get a player to find his confidence and his abilities in a system like that.
Sam Darnold.
Right. Went out to San Francisco, didn't play a lot, but he was working with that group, and he got a few opportunities, and he found out how a good offense operates and how and what the cues are here. And then, he leaves there and he's become a terrific player. Okay. So the talent was there. And a lot of people think coming out of the draft that Mac Jones had talent.
Sure.
Okay. And that somehow, again, being on the wrong team with the wrong system, it just was falling on its face. And he gets in a good system, and now all of a sudden, he's asked to come in and play, and he looks pretty darn good. Looks like a starting quarterback to me. All right, especially for a team that doesn't have one. I don't know. I mean, I know. Listen, I understand you, Jet fans. I'm talking to all you Jet fans. I know it hurts to take a guy who was once a Patriot. I know the pain. But think of this. Think of the glory. If this guy turns it around, if he does what Sam Darnold did with the Vikings for you.
All right.
Okay. Number one, if indeed you draft somebody and then, move on past him, he's got value. You get something for him before you send him out the door. All right. Okay. And you get to skunk the Patriots, man. They couldn't figure out this guy. The Jets figured him out, man. The Jets gave him a spot, and look at him now. Look at him soar. Look at
or he's a double agent, and he comes to the Jets and destroys us from the inside. He destroyed us on the outside. Now he destroys us on the inside. So Mac Jones, double agent potentially.
I don't know. I mean, you can't. We all want to do this as football fans do. Just there's certain teams, players are like dirty. We don't want to touch them. Dirty. I don't want to get my hands dirty. But the Jets need a quarterback, man. And the list is shrinking. Right? You got to look at what the possibilities are and say which is the ugly, the least ugly duckling here, who is somebody that actually has enough upside for us to want to pull the trigger on this. I don't know. I mean, Mac Jones doesn't have the baggage to me that a Kyler Murray does. He may not be as talented ultimately as Kyler Murray, but if Kyler Murray is not a committed football player, if Kyler Murray isn't a respected leader, if Kyler Murray, just wants to collect a paycheck these days and not really dedicate his mind, body, and soul to football, he's not a guy I want on my team either. So I'd rather have a guy with a little bit less talent that I know is going to work his butt off. So I don't know. I know this is tough, man. I don't have a good answer for you, Jet fans. I wish I did. I don't have.
Would you pay the price? So again, if it's a 2+, a second rounder and more, would you do it for Mac Jones?
Yes, I think I would. I think I would.
All right. Well, if it solves the quarterback problems, then who cares what the price is?
No first rounder, but I would give up a second rounder.
Not.
I would give up a second rounder, and then if it's, I don't know what else. What's the also?
I don't know. I don't know what plus means.
Second and a fifth next year or something. I don't know. I don't know.
I don't know. Lurch, we're in 2026. NFL Plus, Apple Plus. I don't know what this plus means. This plus means a lot of different things, a lot of different places. I don't know what
second, plus we'll give you Justin Fields back. There you go. You got.
Hey, there you go. Nice return to center.
There you go.
There you go. Right.
Go rebuild him. He's another reclamation project there for Kyle.
Kyle Shanahan apparently it's a weird affinity for bringing in broken birds from outside his house and bringing them in and rebuilding them bigger, faster, stronger than ever. I guess.
I mean, you like this quarterback room here? Just God, kidding me? Gino Flacco Aller. So you're drafting Aller, obviously. Joe Flacco back again.
That would be, I believe, his third stint with the team.
Gino's the lead man.
Okay,
boy.
well, let me say, obviously, we can't throw rocks from glass houses, right? So Drew Aller, I thought looked very good. That's another combine nugget, right? I thought it looked very good. And it was an important combine for Drew because he broke his ankle last year. And the year before that, he was considered a potential top 5 pick. So the upside with Drew Aller, he's a massive size guy, huge arm, makes a lot of sense. I have no interest in bringing Joe Flacco's old ass back here, to be candid.
Totally.
Cool that he had this random run with the Browns and then traded to the Bengals inside the division, which is weird, I guess.
It's taking its course.
And Gino, I do have a soft place in my heart for Gino. I remember him getting drafted. I remember some of the moments from his rookie season. He showed a lot of promise. To see him in Seattle have that success, just like Sam Darnold did, except Sam won the Super Bowl. I mean, that's cool. The Joe Flacco part is the worst part of it to me. Drew Aller, he's interesting. He's a dart throw. Who cares? You're just taking a chance. And then, we need some veterans. So I initially went, ugh, it's that one, gif where the woman goes, ugh.
Here's the thing about the Jets. If I could offer this thought, okay?
All right, sure.
As of this moment, okay, nothing's can change. There's a whole draft to happen. There's free agency to happen. There's the franchise tag world here to happen. Okay, there's a lot. The year is just getting started. Okay, movement is about to get busy here. But to me, the Jets right now at this moment are far superior offensively than they are defensively, except one big,
obviously,
okay? And that is the most important position on the offense, the quarterback. So if Aaron Glenn, in his desperation to stay as head coach of the Jets beyond this year, which is certainly on the line this season after that horrific season that he put up last year, he has to get a quarterback who is more than competent. He has to. So, again, we're looking at these crazy options. So a trade has to be a possibility. I mean, I know you want to build for the future and you want to keep all your draft picks. Everything's, but if they don't, the defense is already in great peril. Okay. They just let the 2 best defensive players theoretically go last year in a trade to get picks to try and build a new defense, but it's still going to be a new defense filled with several rookies probably starting, and free agents perhaps brought in to fill holes. I mean, it's going to be, it's all these guys that have never played together before. The offense is the continuity other than the quarterback. They have to get the quarterback. They have to get somebody who's more than competent. I just think it's just really important. If Glenn cares, I mean, otherwise he's not surviving. He'll be gone after this year. There's no way they're going to keep him. This is just impossible. If they fail miserably offensively this year, they will be what they were last year again, and he'll be done. And a lot of Jet fans, I think, even want that, even though they don't want to go to another year like they did. They'd rather just move on from Aaron Glenn. Feel that he's part of it.
Just to answer Jets Worldwide's thing, again, we talked about this earlier. He does have offset language in his contract. So long story short, whether he plays for the Jets, the Vikings, any team in the world, he is going to. Yeah, 100%. It's going to be veteran minimum. It's going to be I don't know why Kyler would want to do a solid to the Cardinals. So any more money he takes, let's say he signs a $50 million deal with the Jets, that's less money the Cardinals have to pay, why would Kyler care? So Kyler's going to get his money no matter what. So it behooves him, and Ian Rappaport, NFL Network Insider, explained this over the weekend, so he can sign for veteran minimum. Thus, the Jets or whatever team gets him gets a great deal. The other team is footed with the Bills. So why wouldn't you want to do that? So yes,
if I'm to take on Kyler Murray as the front office of the Jets,
sure,
he has to convince me that the only thing he wants to do this year is rebuild his career. He has to convince me that his life is on the line here. His football career is on the line. And if you give me a chance, I'm going to rebuild my career as a New York bleeping Jet. That's he has to convince me that for me to even consider taking a swing at him. I don't know. These choices just suck, Boy Green. I can't. I'm having a hard time convincing myself on any of these guys. This is just a tough year to be searching for a quarterback.
It is.
It's a tough year. It's a tough year in the draft because there's only one that people think is a surefire. Mm-hmm. And it's a tough year in free agency because it's just a bunch of these either old guys or problem guys. And, do you want to pay less and take a bigger risk? Do you want to pay more and take less of a risk? Are you willing to make a trade to get a little bit more of a sure thing? I don't know, man. I'm glad I'm not in the Jets front office this offseason. This is a difficult spot to be in. That's all I could say.
Well, here's the thing. It's just like the draft, Lurch. We're here on March 2nd. We're eventually going to do mock drafts on this show, and I'm like, here's what the Jets do. Manchild's like, here's what the Giants do. And then guess what? Rubber meets road. It's April 23rd. They're going to actually pick someone, and whoa, they've picked blah. This quarterback thing. Oh, could be this guy, could be this guy, could be this guy. Trade, free agency, sign, draft, this, that. And then guess what? Then it's just going to happen. I have no idea who the hell it's going to be, and the mystery and the games will be over, but I'm fascinated to see where it goes because they have a million possible directions.
They do. We're going to have more than enough time to continue talking about it.
That's it. 100%.
Sorry, Jet fans. I wish I had answers for you. Yeah. I am, as a Giants fan, very glad that it appears, and I just use the word appears. It appears that
it's a good word to use.
No matter what, Giants fans are in a better place this year approaching the season at the quarterback position. Now,
no doubt about it.
We'll see what Dart can become. He's got a new head coach now, and it's going to be a new system, and they're going to try and put some other pieces around, and we'll see. We're going to see. It's not a sure thing. But he showed enough promise to me last year that I feel like we're out of the quarterback market right now, and it's a good year to be out of the quarterback market. It's a great year to not be in this lousy market that the Jets are like at the top of. They're at the very top. We have to. No choice. Like they have no other options. They must find a guy to play quarterback. And they need an entire quarterback room. They don't even need just one guy. They need the whole room. The whole room. First guy, second guy, third guy. I'm clearing it out. Tyrod's not staying on the Jets if I'm Jets front office. I need a first guy, a second guy, and a third guy. One of those guys is going to be a pick in the draft. Okay? And it's just a question of how early I'm going to do it. Yeah. All right? Another one's going to be, I don't know, I'm going to scrape some veteran off of some team or something that's going to be my backup. And then I got to go get a guy that I believe in, that I think can do it for a couple of years.
All right, Lurch, you tell this is my last nugget, and then we can end or wherever else you want to go. I think it was in Zach Rosenblatt's piece this morning. So the Jets are obviously doing a lot of homework, and this is what a few reporters have said, and Nick Faria joined us a few days ago and said this. The Jets don't even know who their quarterback's going to be yet. However, the Jets have had conversations with some teams with quarterbacks that to the public are not perceived to be available. So they are talking about everything. So again, this is where we get the surprise factor, right? Like Kyler Murray, Kirk Cousins. Yeah. We've been talking Malik Willis, all these guys. We've been talking about these names over and over and over again. Yeah. So I tell you that nugget again, this was from Zach Rosenblatt, The Athletic this morning. He says the Jets as a team, Darren Mucci, Aaron Glenn, have talked to teams about quarterbacks that aren't perceived to be available. We're not talking about them, yet they're having those conversations. When you hear that nugget, is there a name that immediately jumps out to mind? Who the hell could they be talking about? Who is the surprise name? The Jets are desperately searching for a guy. And Zach Rosenblatt says, hey, they're talking about some names we haven't even heard of yet that are not perceived to be available. Kirk Cousins perceived to be available. Kyler, Tua. Go through the whole list. Who is someone that stands out to you that would make sense for that?
I'm looking at the standings right now. Okay. First guy is I'm just going through the standings.
Yep.
Well, I think it's beyond remote.
Okay.
But Joe Burrow.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Here we go.
That changed your life, right? Yeah. That certainly changed your life.
Sign me up.
I don't see it happening.
No. But that goes to but you're hitting the nail on the head of people no one's talking about for the most part.
Right. This is kind of crazy stuff. I mean, one would think, for God's sakes, one would hope, one would pray that they're not even considering Deshaun Watson. Okay.
Oh, God. I heard that rumor last week, and I'm like, that's got to be a joke. There's no
Please. I mean, I'm sure he'd be available. And I'm sure you don't want him. Okay, you talk about baggage.
Come on.
There's no more baggage.
Come on.
Okay, let's see. Who else here? Yeah. I've heard some noise about C.J. Stroud, but then what the heck are the Texans doing at quarterback?
That's a good point. I have no idea.
Edison off Stroud,
That seems tough. That seems tough to believe.
That seems tough. I think the Colts and Jones are are getting.
I do. I think they figure it out. So I'm
They're
not
gonna
even
figure
thinking
it
about
out.
that one.
You're gonna, Jones is way too happy there. That went way too well, even though it was.
It went well, and they're
not
all
even full season.
they'll
Yeah.
figure it out. I anticipate.
Let's see. Okay, I'm gonna just going team by team.
Yeah.
I mean, is there any world in which I have no idea what his contract situation with Justin Herbert would be available?
Boy, I hope so. But it seems like Harbaugh loves Justin Herbert, and that's like part of the reason he took
I
the
do
job.
too.
So that would be surprising.
You're
But
asking
again,
me for outside the
but
box.
yeah, no, 100%.
Guy that I don't know, somehow, some way could be freed up, if the right thing will put together. Oh man, who else?
Here's a random name that just stood out in my own head. Again, I don't feel great about this, but JJ McCarthy. Did the Vikings just hit the eject button and say, you know what? He got injured year 1, so we didn't see it. Year 2, he looked like trash. You know what? Let's just reset. Let's wash our hands, Vikings, and just move on. And do the Jets get JJ for a bag of Doritos?
Yeah.
It's not going to cost a lot, and the Jets are desperate.
That's it. As I'm going through the standings, that's
okay.
It's remote, but possible.
Sure,
remotely possible.
Okay.
Let's see.
Anyone else that possibly answers the bell?
I mean, there's no way that the Lions would part with Goff.
No. I mean, that would be a super whoa. That'd be surprising.
Well, you're asking me for out of left field, so I
am.
I mean, this is an outside the box experience, folks. Don't say that I'm throwing these names out there. Lurch is out of his bleeping mind.
Yeah, don't clip this, folks. Don't aggregate
Justin Herbert or Joe Burrow or Jared Goff. But if indeed they're talking to everybody about all kinds of people that don't appear available, then I'm trying to see, could they be available?
Right.
I don't see the Panthers moving off of Bryce Young at this point. Where are they going?
And then, by the way, Frank Reich got fired because of Bryce Young being terrible. So that's probably not happening. Right.
Any chance Tampa would move off of Baker? Could Baker be
crazy? I would feel more like that's like, again, we're swimming in this crazy water. If Todd Bowles had been fired and a new guy came in, would Baker all of a sudden shake free? Maybe, but no, I don't think so.
I don't either. Though I've said it for years. When the Giants, for all these years, have been searching for a quarterback, I think he would thrive in New York. I think he.
Oh my goodness, he would eat that alive.
Love him. They would love him. Sure. Oh, he's so gritty and he's
100%.
Yeah, they'd love him.
Checks off all the boxes.
He'd love the New York market, but
I bet he would.
Like you said, I don't think so. Atlanta doesn't have anything. New Orleans,
no. We talked about Carr, so now
they just found a quarterback. They think.
Right.
Seattle's not making a change. LA's not making a change. The Niners have it's Mac Jones or bust. Anybody's available.
Right. Cardinals have Jacoby Brissett, but we've talked about Jacoby Brissett. We've talked about Kyler Murray, so that's no surprises there.
Yeah, I mean that's
it. So not a whole lot.
Okay. That's a very short list. Oh man!
But it would be very Jets that we have talked about 40 names, no shorter than less than 40 names, and they pick 41. There's a name we haven't talked about. This boom, he's the guy. I don't know. We'll see what happens, I guess.
Oh man!
All right.
I'm praying for you guys. I'm praying for all you.
Well, we're in rumor season, Lurch. So this was a fun show to go down rumor road.
Fun. I'm stressed though, man. I'm like stressed about the Jets situation, man. I'm not even a Jets fan.
I'm stressed about the Jets situation, but I'm not like. I think they are going to figure something out. We're going to see what that is and how I feel about it. But
this fan base deserves a team on the field this year that is capable and that. Has to start with a capable quarterback. I mean, they just deserve it. The fan base deserves it, man. It's enough suffering. Like they deserve an interim guy here to be able to make things work.
Yeah.
And I don't know who that guy is. I wish I had the guy for you guys. I don't know who it is.
Yeah. Well, hopefully the Jets know who it is. That's all.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll be back at it again on Wednesday live. So you can join us then, folks. I want to thank every single one of you for getting in the comments. A lot of great comments today. If you feel in the love, become a member. We would love for you to become a member. If you're not a subscriber already, please subscribe. We are trying to close in on 700 subscribers and get ourselves. We're on the march to 1,000 right now. So we're trying to get there as quickly as we possibly can. We can only do it with your support. So again, absolutely free. It's youtube.com/@MC Show Digital. You see it right there on your screen. Wednesday live, we're back at it again. We've got Bud Poliquin dropping tomorrow. We've got all our, got a lot of our regulars again this week. Jets, Giants, and Bills will be touching all bases. Jake Asman will be back with us this week, return from the combine. So we'll do a little breakdown with Jake a little later in the week. Our SU Insider is back again on Friday to talk SU hoops, another demoralizing loss. As a matter of fact, we're going to double dip for all you Syracuse sports fans out there this week. Neil Adler will be with us on Friday as usual. From inside the Loud House, but Thursday of this week, I think I scheduled them right. Thursday,
I think so.
Week,
yes.
Mike Waters, the illustrious reporter for Syracuse.com, will be joining us. We'll get his take on the whole Adrian Autry. Where does this program go from here? John Wildhack retiring, who's making the decisions? So that whole pot of questions back in the cauldron for Mike Waters to give his perspective on that. That'll be on Thursday of this week. So we got a really, really busy week. Lots of good content for you. So be part of the crowd, as they say. All right. Got to be with us. All right. Final thought, if you have one, Boy Green.
Fun show. Again, March. We just marched into March on Sunday. And boy, March is going to be a massive month for all of our shows, whether it's MC Show Digital or Boy Green Daily, because free agency. There's a half of the month that's speculation. The other half of the month is activity is happening. So we're going to have to plan our people accordingly. We're going to bring on someone, and breaking is going to happen like in the middle of us having someone on in free agency week. So boy, we're going to have a lot of activity, and it's going to be a lot of fun to cover. So again, thanks to all the fans. It's been a resounding response, close to 700 subscribers. Man, this is amazing. We are on a wave, baby, and we're getting closer and closer to 1K, which is our big goal, and then blow up from there, of course.
All right. Yeah. And merch coming soon. I am getting close to finalizing this whole thing. I've been testing some products, making sure everything's up to spec.
Sure.
But some very, very cool things available to you. You can help promote the brand, as they say. All right. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in today. We do appreciate it. Again, we'll see you live on Wednesday. Lots of content dropping in the meantime. Everybody, take care. Peace out.